that they can sell it because these merchants will always buy it. They buy it all up. How much act is like a whole
year,
most of them, but for
corn is more expensive, so I guess we're going to go grow corn again. I think it's all micro decisions, right? And people kind of betting a little bit on the future as well, because farmers, I guess, have to kind of bet or gamble, what's going to be good next year.
Well, most of them, but for farmers, yeah, but there is, but for farmers, they're selling it to like in the UK, you're selling your grains to like a grain merchant, right? Like they kind of act as like a wholesaler, so they will go on to then say deal with like an international
strikes again,
an international company or whatever. But like the farmers themselves don't have to think much past how much per ton can I sell of this crop. Okay, I'm going to grow this one because it's more money. You know what I mean? Like they know that they can sell it because these merchants will always buy it. They buy it all up and then they just sell it on to whoever is buying it in bigger quantities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the average size of a farm in the UK is like 200 acres or something like that. So
how big is an acre?
I can't remember.
Pretty big.
It's quite big. I think it's a couple kilometers squared. I think
an average country garden is probably like a quarter of an acre.
An acre is
an average garden
about the size of the inside of the baseball diamond.
Right, so maybe.
So it's like from the home plate to the edge of the running track, sort of. So
okay, so it's nowhere near.
So not the diamond between the bases, but if you include the infield area, that sort of dirt area.
I think a hectare is a couple of acres, and therefore probably like
So 1 acre. This is I love it when they put things in these kind of 1 acre is 0.43 baseball fields.
Right.
Okay.
So 208 feet on a side.
Right.
208.7 feet on a side, which of course.
And then what's a hectare?
1 hectare is 1 billion acres.
No, okay.
What?
It's not. It's 1 hectare, according to this, is very simply 100 meters on a side. That's
it's
a hectare.
It's 2.5 acres.
2.5 acres.
1 hectare is 100 meters on a side is 1 hectare.
Right.
That's in the
so
metric
how many
system.
baseball fields?
That's equivalent to 2.47 acres in the British imperial system.
Yeah. So on average, a British farm is comparatively pretty small. Like if you watch Clarkson's farm, he's got 1,000 acres, which is
that's quite large.
4 or 5 times the size of an average UK farm. But his farm is quite big, and even then, his farm is
all the land.
His farm is quite big. He doesn't necessarily use all of it, and he gets big enough harvests, but he doesn't get big enough harvests to say fill up a container and send it to China. You know what I mean? Like he's just got to sell it to a grain merchant or a mill or something. Of course they will, because they're buying in from everywhere. It's the same over here with potatoes. Like you look at the average size of a field over here, they're tiny. Most of them are like on hillsides and stuff. But then
you've been playing farming sim for the last 2 months.
Yes.
Haven't you? I've just realised.
Yeah,
but you didn't.
But all these potatoes then kind of go to like one central place. Like there's one big farm. They're kind of like a conglomerate, and they have sorting, packing, everything. So like most of the farmers over here will just sell their potatoes to them, and then they will then then they will package them off and send them to the UK to wherever, Sainsbury's or Waitrose or whatever.
Yeah.
And they will make their money on top of it, right? Like to pay for all the millions of pounds worth of equipment and other shit that they
There is a push to kind of not thanks to Clarkson, but due to something part to Clarkson to sort of try and encourage more local farm shops and local selling.
Yeah.
People who I think people are more aware of the things they're growing, but I think the reality is often that Clarkson did like 1 field of potatoes.
Yeah.
He sold like 1% of it in his farm shop, and he had an unbelievable amount of a completely weird system where people are still driving from the entire UK to come to this tiny Oxfordshire farm shop.
He's very influential.
They love Clarkson.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
They're gonna go to his shop, his restaurant.
Microcosm, right? The reality is that you can't. So many of these systems aren't built for just the people in the local area eating the potatoes that grow on this farm. You've got to get it into the cities, where that's where all the people are.
Yeah.
By the way, you going to? Did you say you were going to Luleå in Sweden?
Luleå?
No, he said he was going to like
Sverige is Swedish for sweet.
Spistich.
I'm going to fucking Stockholm. What's the weather like there? Stockholm, where it's probably 4 degrees. It's 3 degrees. Yeah, it's going to be cold.
I love Stockholm, man. Last time I went, it's such a nice city, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
It's still going to be cold in
It's
Stockholm.
going to be cold as fuck. The key is to wear a coat, a hat, and gloves.
Yes.
And thermal underwear, which I do have. If you ever, little travel tip, go to Sweden, stock up on their shit there for staying warm, and you will never be cold again. I'm sure the same is true if you go to any cold country.
Yeah.
You want gloves, you want hats, you want coats, you want thermal underwear. You can get it all there because they have to fucking buy it all the time.
They do.
They need that shit all the
They
time.
need
They
it.
know what they're doing.
Why don't you try it out, Mr. I Want New Experiences? Why don't you go get yourself some Long Johns and hit up Sweden? Don't go to Stockholm, though, this time. Why don't you go out and check out some of those cool forests where they use those fucking crazy king scorpions to cut down all the trees in like 2 seconds?
Give us some news. Give us news.
Lego are doing a collaboration with Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, nice. Finally. God, I've been
So
waiting.
that is hype.
That's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I'm not being funny, but if you could have terrain for miniatures like there was Lego, that's fucking gold right there. Well, here's what they need to do is like you can build whatever scenery you want in Lego, and then you've got all the miniatures, you've got the wizards and the orcs and everything. This is the most obvious crossover that's ever been. Why hasn't this been a thing already? That's incredible. You can build anything. It's like the most customizable terrain imaginable.
And characters.
Yes, exactly.
There's all the minifigs. You can make your minifig look like you. And
Yes,
your
whatever you
character.
want. Oh my
You can change
God.
its gear easily.
That sounds so cool. One
Isn't that
thing
great?
they need to do is to put hexes on the terrain. That would be hype. If I could get on the basic floor plan, like, you know, dungeon floor, and it comes on like a tile with hexes, because that way you could still, you know, and if the little holes, like, you know what I mean, if it's sort of, if the hexes were aligned in such a way that you could still count distances and hexes, that, there you go.
I don't think hexagons and Lego are really good friends. They're very
Hexagon.
blocky.
Lexagon.
Okay, keep working on that.
Yeah.
Lexago.
We'll figure that one out. There was a Twitch streamer streaming in public this week and in London.
Yeah.
And he was aggressively attacked in a heated altercation.
This is about the Chinese Communist Party, isn't it?
I don't know. So
Is this the guy that was playing the piano? I think
No.
it was. Oh, because that was a different one.
Wait, so what happened? He was streaming in London and somebody attacked him?
He was streaming. Okay, so he was streaming. There's a lot of content creators who are streaming live now.
Yeah.
And people in public don't really like it.
No.
With good reason, because I personally think streams. If your day job is IRL streamer,
Yeah.
and you're, you know, just
Hit the
it's pretty
streets.
obnoxious
Yeah.
seeing them out and about. But also, it's kind of like, you know, if you're filming other people as well, or like, you know,
Or even accidentally
like-
filming them.
or like any of these channels that sort of make their money by talking to random strangers or approaching strangers or pranking them in some way, you know, unless it's actually funny.
So
but
I don't agree with going up and fucking with people in public. I don't think that's ever cool.
No.
But if you're IRL streaming in a public place and people have a problem with that, they get fucked. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. You
Yeah.
have no expectation of privacy in public. Now, if people are in your face and you're like, please fuck off, and they keep bothering you, I understand.
What about those people who film themselves at the gym and then somebody comes in to use the gym and they're like, sorry, can you not use that? I'm filming. And then the other
Yeah,
guy's
that's
like,
bullshit, obviously.
well, I
But
need to work out.
They give everyone a bad name. People like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you
But
absolutely
the
should
thing
be
is,
able
I don't
to
know
stream
if
or
they,
film
I
in
don't know
public.
if they're a type though. Do you think that just happens? You know, like you happily go to the gym and record yourself working out at the gym 99 times, and then the 100th time there's like an altercation with somebody?
I don't know.
Or do you think this is a regular occurrence for these people because they just
I mean, I
think that
think
they
there are
are
a couple of different
they are
groups.
the only people in the universe, and
No,
therefore,
I think there are a couple. I mean, you've got people who want altercation because that gets views.
I suppose.
And there are people that will, I mean, I've seen people will do this thing where they oh, sorry, no, I'm trying to film. I'm using that. And they're like, you weren't using it. They're like, yeah, but I'm going to in a minute. It's part of my filming. That can fuck off.
Yeah.
Also, a gym, whilst you are essentially, visible to anyone else in the gym, it's not a public place. They can tell you to fuck off. It's a business.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the street and I'm filming myself, or, anyone else in the streams, they don't have, they can't complain.
No.
It's a public place.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. I think this is it. Like these you're welcome to go ahead and stream outside and walk around, and that be your job and your livelihood, right? But like any job where your job is walking around outside, you have to kind of be aware of your surroundings. That other people live in this world. It's not just you. Like if someone, like he tweeted this thing, if someone tries to touch you or break your streaming gear, you're just meant to run away or let them do it. I'm like, well, what? That's what real life is like, Like if someone else comes down into the street, you've got two choices, right? Like I guess your third option is fight back. Like, but I mean,
there's really no specific laws about live streaming yourself in the street. Like they treat us differently. The rules are very simple. If you're in a public place, anything you can see from that public place counts as beyond privacy. Like if you're in your house and I'm outside filming myself and I can see you through the window, I could do that camera or not. Close the curtains, put blinds in. Like if you want actual privacy in your home, you can have that. But for example, if I'm sitting in my window, in my, in the downstairs, someone walks past and sees me, I can't say, that's the invasion of privacy. Hold on. Sorry.
He's crying.
I'm joking. That's an invasion of privacy. You can't say that. If they have to go and peek specifically, that's different. But anything that you can see from a public place or in public is by definition excluded from anything to do with privacy. That's just the way it is. And people really misunderstand this all the time. And think about this. What is the major difference, do you think, between me being out in public and looking at someone and me being out in public and then filming me? Why does that trigger people so much? Stop filming me! So what do you think I'm going to do? Edit it to make you look stupid? Like, what, if I fuck with people in a public setting, that's different. People are rightly going to say, can you please stop fucking pranking me and leave me alone? And you might well have a decent complaint there. But if someone's filming and you just happen to be in the background, you can't fucking complain about that. You're in public. Unless they're doing some weird, like, filming up your skirt or something, in which case that is against the law. You have no expectation to privacy in a public place.
I guess you're right. Like, it works both ways, right?
Yeah.
You're in public, which means everyone is. And I think that, I don't know, like, it feels weird, doesn't it, there's this trend of live stream people getting into these altercations in public because well, that's what you're going to get. Like,
and they want to do it as well.
If you want to do this, if you want to go viral, start a Twitch stream, walk around some shitty area, and look vulnerable.
Yeah, and be like, oh my god, I can't believe it, guys. Yeah, that's what you came here for. Like people that go and
That's what happens when you're outside. Yes.
A lot of this YouTube shit. It was a few years ago. Is inherently quite racist as well. In fact, not even quite openly. Like we went to the ghetto and pranked people, and they'll go up and like stamp on people's trainers and shit, get beaten up, and get like several their video. And what by the ghetto, what they mean is they're going to go to a black neighborhood and fuck with people there and get beaten up and then post about it, and it's like it gets views. That's despicable. And I'm sure that they're breaking some kind of common law or something like that. I'm not saying it's like a federal offense, but I'm pretty sure that if you tried to press charges, people would be like, no, like what the fuck? You can't stamp on people and then claim it's just a prank, bro. Like you're going to lose that case, I'm pretty sure.
So, okay.
But if I'm just filming, you can't complain.
Here's something Mr. Beast did this week, right?
I thought you were going to say Mr. Bean. This is something that Mr. Bean has done this week.
He's got his own...
Hot news. Hello.
He's got his own line of candy.
He's got his own line of what, sorry?
Chocolate bars.
Right.
Mr. Beast bars, which I'm sure are definitely sustainably sourced and all that crap.
And inside every one, there's £1 million. Wait.
But so I always am like surprised by the weird stuff he does. But he went to actual Walmarts to see if his stall, if his chocolate was there, and when it wasn't, he went and talked to the people at Walmart, and he went into the back and he found a box and he brought them out and he stacked them on the shelves himself. Right. As a stunt, I imagine. Right. But like having the gall to do that, right? Kind of like, and thinking like, it's thinking around like what would make a weird video tweet, something viral, something that like people will talk about, like just pushing it a bit too far, you know. He spent the whole day driving around different Walmarts to see whether or not his chocolate bars are on the shelves.
That's quite funny.
And if they're not, going in the back or giving them a box. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
On the shelves.
So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but people complain a lot about someone like Mr. Beast. Obviously, he's very prominent. And I saw a complaint the other day about him where someone was saying, oh, I fucking hate his stuff because as soon as it's popular, that's all you see is other people posting this same kind of baity content. And like it's some new thing. But this has been the case in television, radio, movies. Someone puts out something successful, they're the first to do it, it's a success, and then everyone copies that person. Like, that's not their fault. I don't watch his content. I've got to say, it doesn't feel marketed at me. I don't really enjoy those kind of videos, but I don't, like, hate the fact that they're popular because at least it's original and creative. And if other people are copying it and that winds you up, just don't watch those copies either. Like, I know it's tedious and annoying and it's all clickbaity stuff, but I never see these videos popping up on my feed.
Yeah, I know. That's because it's not. But the reason I thought this was interesting article was because it's sort of. I know there's this thing called like stealth signing, right? Where if you're an artist or a writer and you go into, like Simon Clarke did it with his book in going into Waterstones. He like sees that his book's on the shelf. He gets it off the shelf, signs it, puts it back. You know, that's fine, right? But I mean, it's not so much stealth signing as he's telling people he's doing it, so tweeting about it. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like a little publicity thing as well, in a sense, right? No, I don't know if Simon Clarke did actually tweet about it, do it publicly. I'm just using him as an example. But I think, do you know what I mean? I feel like,
I don't know who you mean.
do you see what I mean? I feel
No,
like...
who are you talking about?
Dr. Simon Clarke, PhD.
Dr. Simon Clarke, thank you, sorry.
PhD.
It's his proper name. And maybe... But I think like that, there is this general idea of the internet that you're like things have to be stunts, right? And you can be very everything is like everything is a stunt. Like I'm thinking today, one of the reasons why Baldur's Gate 3, but also games that came before it in a sense, have been successful is because there's so much in Baldur's Gate 3, right? There's so much love and so much attention has been put into all of these side quests and side missions and options and did you know you can do this? Oh, you can fuck the bear. Oh, all these things. All those little tiny bits have all made TikToks and YouTube shorts and fed into the infrastructure that we have to promote things these days, right? And obviously you had to get to a certain level of success before it, you know, the snowballs started rolling. But I feel like with a game like that, with so much stuff that most of the audience will never see, you know, it's like, did you know you could do this? And I think if they look at the stats, like only a tiny percentage of people will actually saw that or made those choices to see this discovery, right? But all that just sort of, it's all clickbaity things. It's like, oh, what if you talk to this guy after killing their family? It's like, you know, like this stuff is so virally exciting, right? It's like, it's stuff that I want to, you know, it's stuff like, oh, I've played this game and I didn't see that bit,
right.
But I think it all derives it, right? You like, or sometimes it's like advertising game as well. Like you'll click on a thing and you'll be like, oh, this is cool. You can do this in this game, and then you know, it just feeds in to the whole thing, right? So I guess what I'm saying is games like this back in the day, like Fallout New Vegas used to do this, right? And put in all of these little like kind of not secrets necessarily, but options for players that they didn't expect would ever cater for a large proportion of people playing, right? It's like, what's the small off chance that some crazy lunatic does all of these series of events? We've still put a voice line in for it, or some reward, or some reaction, or something, right? Like, it's like...
How much of that, by the way, do you think is them sitting down and literally thinking, right, what are all the options from this, like, decision? And, like, they must have some vast design document where it's just like a branching tree of all the different things that, okay, if they kill this guy, we know that he's in all of these other things, so we need to change all of those lines so that they reflect what happened to this one character back here. Or do you think it was just in playtesting, every time it came up, someone was like, you know, there's a line here that references so and so, but I killed him, so why does he? Like, all right, yeah, make a note of that. Like, I would like to know. Do you think they literally planned this out meticulously?
I think it's meticulous, yeah, because I think otherwise some of this stuff wouldn't have even been in. You know, because otherwise they just think, oh, this is so much faff. Let's just have all of these joined together, and you know, or just not bother. You know, but I think like.
You know,
I think it's a choice, and I think it serves them well in the modern.
No, I agree. I went to a birthday party on Saturday. I'm getting to that age now where I'm going to 50th birthday parties, which is what I do.
Nice.
I went to a 50th, and it was great. I haven't seen the birthday girl in a while. It was great to see her.
Hey, Ted, how are you doing?
We've got lawn bowls to start with, and then a nice sit down for the rest of the party.
It was great. It was really great. And I saw a friend of mine there. I was at school with him. Like, I've known him since we were like
You shared
12
your
years old.
medical complaints.
That is a big thing, actually. Like, one of the birthday girl's boyfriend had a busted knee. Like, there were a lot of people with bad backs. You know, it's like, we're just getting to that age. And everybody talking about their kids and stuff. But he doesn't really have much time for games, my friend. He's got a young baby and all the rest of it. But he was like, he asked on Facebook, did anyone recommend any games? And I recommended Baldur's Gate 3 because I used to play D&D with him years ago. And he loved it. Like, he's still on Act 1. He's only playing it a bit at a time. And every time he plays it, he's like, I fucking love this game. And I think it's one of those games that if you've done any kind of role-playing or any games like that, doesn't matter. Like that, if you have, it'll make you love it because you think, oh, this is so perfect. But I know people haven't even played really many games when they play Baldur's Gate. They loved it. Do you think it's just because it's so slick and fun? Because it really does, because of the voice acting and everything, it really just feel like they're in another world.
I think the game is good. I mean, there's an element of feeling like you're in the world for sure.
Yeah, the immersion element is definitely a big part.
I don't know
of it,
if the immersion is like a big seller for me. Like if I'm playing a game like Baldur's Gate 3, I like to know that my decisions matter. I don't know if that is linked in with immersion or not, but like I like knowing that I can make a decision and the outcome will be different to somebody else's decision. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I feel like my story becomes unique with, you know, my choices, sort of thing. More so than feeling like I'm in a world and, you know, like I'm getting into the characters or whatever.
I think I have to galvanize myself for it. I have to be like, okay, let's take a second to put myself into this world, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be this character, and this is going to be my little backstory, and then like I just need to like give myself a little reason to be there,
Yeah.
and then I can be swept up or swept away in it. I think so, often you are this like empty vessel, your character, if you're not careful.
I like that. I just like I like that my character becomes the product of my decisions in the end, so I can go back and tell the story. You know, like if I'm playing the game and I'm like 20 hours in and somebody turns up and they're like, you know, oh, what are you doing? I can be like, well, you know, this happened, that happened, this happened, and we're kind of on this path right now. And like, I like that, you know, like I like that. I like that your decisions matter and there's consequences, and you know, I just think it tells like a more interesting story. I like the story that I make more so than the story that's presented to me. You know?
Yeah.
I like that about Baldur's Gate 3 and any other game that has that sort of, you know, really long branching the dialogue systems and stuff like that, because otherwise if it's too much like watching a movie, I think I'd just rather watch a movie, you know, like it doesn't matter what you say, like the outcome's always the same and just it's completely on rails. Yeah, some games are great, but like I find like because I've streamed for so long and made videos for so long, I can't play those games by myself now. Like I need like an audience, like, you know, to be there with me for it, because otherwise I just find it too boring. I don't know.
But that's like, I mean, that's playing games with other people watching is a different way of playing games, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot more. You're gonna do silly things on purpose. You're gonna kick the dog and jump off the mountain.
But Baldur's Gate 3 was
right, like
half of the fun for me was the fact that people were watching and I was doing stuff and I could see people reacting to it like, oh, I didn't do that, you're a monster and stuff, and I was like, yeah,
well,
that's
exactly.
fun.
I think the thing is when you're playing as a showman, it's a very different experience because you're on this sort of ludicrous zany clown adventure where it's like like derping your way
I
through
like that, though.
clicking the most dumbest options every time.
Well,
right?
not necessarily,
Whereas when
but
oftentimes if you're playing the game to immerse yourself and actually enjoy and try and experience in the world, you kind of think, well, what would I do?
Yeah.
And you don't like casually murder the children. You know, you don't when you're on your own.
Yeah, I take that very seriously.
I don't know. I think I would casually murder the children on my own as well.
It
just
depends on the
day I'm having.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really just depends.
I feel like but then again, like Baldur's Gate and all these games do a very good job of making it grey areas, right? So
Yeah.
every sort of quest
Yeah.
is kind of like you talk to one group of people and they're like, well, these guys did murder all of our families, and the other one's like, well, these guys are summoning the devil, so like,
Yeah.
you know, which one do you like? It's like, well, okay.
Yeah, I
So
just
you have
don't
to
know,
kind of
like,
choose the lesser of two evils at every time.
I love those games. I feel like GTA 5, no matter what I would have played through, it was fun. Like you know, like even just playing through the story of GTA 5, I would have done that by myself. I think it was fun enough and whatever, immersive enough or whatever. But like looking back, Baldur's Gate 3, I don't think I would have just played it on my own. I don't even think I would have played Fallout 4 or Skyrim or Starfield. Any of those games, I don't think I would have just played on my own. I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much because, I mean, a lot of it, mods helped to make them better. Starfield not so much because it's newer. But like, I don't know, just having just knowing that there's people along with you on the ride and stuff, it makes it more interesting for me at least. I don't know if I could play these games just by myself. The games that I would more tend to play by myself were kind of like, I would play like Helldivers too by myself, you know, something that had like a repetitive loop that was grindy or whatever, you know, like I would grind a game quite happily by myself, you know, if there's progression and rewards and shit like that. But story games, not so much. I don't think I'd play them by myself. Red Dead 2 I would play by myself as well. It's fucking awesome.
That's the one I couldn't stand playing on my own. Red Dead 2.
Oh,
Really?
man,
I
would
did
play
stream
Red
so
Dead 2
boring.
no matter what. It's so good.
It was like
Boring?
it was like watching The Hateful Eight in slow motion.
Oh my
Yeah, it's
God.
great. That's part of what I like so much
can't
about it.
stand that opinion of yours, really.
I just couldn't stand it. Like, I was so boring. It was like, here's the story, now walk around for 3 hours.
I know,
It's
but
like,
the
okay,
problem with my only complaint about Red Dead 2 was that there was no way to really commit a crime without kind of aggroing every law enforcement in the land to your location.
I did see a video about a guy complaining about that every time you're about to do something, like they kind of gamed it, where as you're doing something, someone walks in. Or someone walks past, and it's like instantly everyone in the town knows.
Yes.
It doesn't really make sense. Like,
No.
I get it. But also, can you imagine if it was easier to commit crimes? You would be doing it constantly.
Like, you think like
Constantly.
games like Skyrim and stuff where you can get away with committing crimes, you would be doing it constantly. But if that's the way that you want to go, you know, you have the choice of doing it, which would have been a nice choice in Red Dead as well.
I agree with that, but I guess there needs to be a payoff for being a good guy
Yeah.
and not doing it.
Yeah.
But more often than not, you just want that ammo or that gun.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like nothing is locked. You know, you don't need to do quests for money because it's like, well, I don't care about money. I can just steal whatever I want.
Okay, but you know in
So-
Red Dead 2, you know that part where you go to you find that shack in the middle of nowhere? It's like just outside of Saint Denis, and there's that yokel sitting on the porch, and you go talk to him, and then basically he drugs you and
Right, yeah.
and has sex with you. Presumably, because you wake up and you don't know quite what's happened, sort of thing. But like, okay, well, where's the aggro law enforcement in that case? Why did they turn up at that point? Like he's committing a crime, like much like any crime I would commit in the game, but they're nowhere to be seen. So what? You know what I mean?
I guess it's just it is gamified, but I feel like if you don't have that stuff in, it would kind of break the game. What they could do is give you the option, like when you start, of be like, do you want this kind of global crime stuff, like classic GTA and Red Dead thing?
Yeah.
Or do you want a more realistic take?
I just feel like I think that's my gripe with all the Rockstar games. In that,
it's kind of a core mechanic.
Yeah, it's a core mechanic, but it's just it's kind of a lazy one because everything just devolves into a massive shootout and chase every single time. GTA was the same. You turn up somewhere and it's like, oh, this is so cool. I actually like the story. I like where this is going or whatever. And then it's just like, fuck you. Bam, like fucking 5-star helicopter cops are coming in to get you. You're running away. You can't possibly fight all of them. And Red Dead was the same, right? It was just constantly devolved into this mindless big shootout. And I don't know. I would have appreciated some more just like story stuff, you know? Like it would have been cool to just have a dialogue with somebody and then shoot them and then not have to kill 120 cowboys off the back of it, you know, to get out of there alive sort of thing, you know? Like, I think it could have just been done a little bit better. But having said that, that's my only gripe with both of those games.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new GTA. I mean, even though it's going to be probably a couple of years.
Yeah. I got a PS5 all set, ready to go.
I haven't got one yet.
Yeah.
I guess I should get one before, because as soon as it comes out, I bet people will be buying loads.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. I think they're not hard to get now. They're not as rare as they used to be.
Yeah, that's true. All right, that's an hour and 20. We should wrap
That's a
up.
great podcast.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, you really saving your voice for something? You got something on later today?
I just I had a great week.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, bud.
Not feeling super
My start to the year's also been pretty shitty, and I've just tried to basically focus on other things and just think, you know, you just gotta ride it out, like these shitty periods in your life. Everybody has.
It's nice.
Sometimes it all comes along at
It's
once.
just nice to chat to you guys about nothing.
That kind of stuff, just relaxing. Let's have a chat.
I think you just gotta chill out and play some My Recycling Center, Lewis. Just get back to basics.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be back next week. Hopefully I can record from Sweden.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll have a better week, Lulu. I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Good luck with your stuff. Have fun.
All right. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Pickaxe. Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, no. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally irresponsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Today, coming at you from Sweden, Imperial flags. I'm not in Sweden.
Hey!
He is.
I'm crippled. I got a trapped nerve in my neck and it really hurts.
Oh no.
Oh.
You got to go to the doctor straight after this, have you?
Yes.
Old people chat. This is what happens now to us. We don't understand technology. Imperial's got a crappy microphone.
I need some horse tranks or something. I can't sleep. It's insane. It's so painful. Like everything is painful.
How did this happen? Did you lift something heavy?
No, I woke up
was
one
it
morning
during
after
sex?
I slept funny. I woke up one morning and I had like a little crick in my neck, as you do every once in a while, and it just progressively got worse and worse and worse. And over time, it has evolved as well. At first, it just really hurt to sit upright in a chair or like drive a car or whatever. It felt like on my left side, it felt like under my armpit and like the side of my torso was like not able to stretch. Like it was like really tight, you know, like it felt like every time I sat down, like it felt like it was gonna like rip. It was really, really quite painful. But so it meant like if I had sat at my computer to stream or play games or whatever, that also hurt. But I was able to sleep no problem. Like I could sleep on my back, on my side, and it was fine. So I got some relief.
God, I've just stood up straight and I've like flexed my neck and my back. I'm like really paranoid now that.
Yeah. And then for the past week, it's been bearable sitting at a desk in a chair. It hasn't been so bad driving and stuff, but I cannot sleep. I can't sleep on my side. I say, like, the minute I roll over on my side, I can feel my neck and my shoulder, like the muscles just start to like spasm, and then it just intensifies. This is over the course of like a minute, to the point where I just have to sit up. Like it feels like I'm being stabbed. It's unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Fuck, it's
What's
so I
the
can't
treatment?
sleep. Well, I don't know. I want them to cut it off or fucking.
They have to kill him.
Just
That's it.
fucking take
Right.
me out back and old yeller my ass or something. I don't know. I'm done. It's just too painful.
You must have Googled it, right? You must
I have,
like,
yeah,
done some
and it's like,
Google.
oh, these instant relief, do these stretches, do this, do that. Great, yeah, thanks. None of it has worked. I've tried every single one, and not a single one of them has worked. And these videos have like millions of views.
Yeah.
So you're watching YouTube videos?
Man, if you wake up at 3 in the morning, you feel like somebody's stabbing you, you can't get back to sleep. There's not much else to do except for watch, YouTube videos on what possibly could be wrong with you. So yeah, I mean, and then like you said, I've got cancer, and I've got symptoms of cancer, and every known cancer now, and everything else too. So
That's what happens when you have anything wrong with you.
yeah.
It's
Like
the
the
other
internet
day.
says it's
The
cancer.
other day I was. In fact, this was 2 days ago. We're getting the cab home because I'm in Sweden for Dream League right now. We're driving back from the studio, and the car was quite loud. I was having a conversation with the guys in the back of the cab. I had to turn around and turn my neck to talk to them.
Yeah.
And I had my neck turned for about 30 seconds. I've got a conversation. And when I go to turn back, the muscles in my neck are like,
Yeah.
oh, you tried to use us. Ah.
Yeah.
And I had to like stretch my neck and my shoulders out. Well, I'm just so fragile now. Any kind, like I sleep on the wrong pillow, or I don't move enough, or I move too much when I'm asleep. I wake up, it's like,
Well, I
it's just
think
age.
I had like quite a flimsy pillow because I made the mistake of, we went to get new pillows, and I could have got like a firm pillow, but then they had a not so firm pillow, but it was like a cool pillow, like a chillo, like one of those ones that's
Chillo?
cold. It's like cold, like.
How does it stay cold?
I don't know, but
What?
it turns out it's not a very supportive pillow, and I think that's the root of the problem. Unfortunately,
see.
I've changed pillows since. But it's
Never
too
heard
late
of
now.
chillos.
Never heard of a chillo?
Never heard of a chillo. How does it start? I don't understand. Is it electric? Does
I
it
think
stay
the
cold?
ones in the 90s you had to put in the freezer, or there was like a part of the pillow you put into the freezer for a bit.
Like a cold pack.
Kinda, yeah, but I think now they've got some crazy space age material that just can stay cool for a bit longer than normal material or something. I don't know, but it does actually stay cool. Like when you lay down, it does feel quite cold. It's nice.
I believe.
Like colder than a normal pillow, but
Oh my God.
it has
I
also
tell you
crippled
what.
me. So, but
I felt like the oldest man at the weekend. I went to this Bristol Simple Things Festival. Okay, it's basically kind of like a inner city festival where they've got like 3 theatre venues and some like SWX where we went and saw Ghostface Killer Sips.
oh yeah,
That venue, and
Yeah.
then there's a bunch of other little tiny venues as well, like the bowling alley and stuff.
the place where we saw Ghostface was pretty nice actually.
Yeah,
it's a nice
it's
venue.
some of them are pretty big venues,
Yeah.
and they had about 50 or 60 Bristol-based or local acts. Some of them, I guess, had come down from further on, and they were all. I'd never heard of any of them, of course, because I think modern music, there's so much, so many, it's so wild, and I didn't. I've got to say, I didn't like any of them. I must have watched like 20 bands, and I didn't like any of them.
I'm sorry.
I even like made like a little challenge for myself where I was like going to spend 20 minutes at each place,
Right.
just to give it a chance.
Yeah.
But I found myself leaving, like waiting for that 20-minute mark so often, and I don't. Like some of the experiences were hard because they were packed full of people, and you're like shoulder to shoulder with people. Other places are like you can't even get in the door kind of thing, and you're like in a queue for an hour. And other places there's like just lots of people making like. It wasn't like mosh pits and like lots of people being like physically like active and stuff. I mean, there's obviously always like that at a gig that someone will shove past you and you get an elbow in the ribs occasionally. Like it's kind of.
Are you saying that you felt old at this gig? Is that?
But I felt old partly because I felt like I didn't like any of the music.
No.
I felt like my dad saying, "I don't understand new music. I don't get
What
new music."
kind of music was it, Lulu? Was it dance music? Was it indie music? Was it like pop music? What kind of music?
Okay, so the first act I saw was like one woman DJ playing like electronic music, like kind of trancey music, but not without any like kind of actual melody. Like if it was like 90s trance, like Ibiza trance, like I'm sure I would have actually liked it. But no, the main reason she was there was she had this incredibly fancy light show going on, and it was like a firework display. But like if I had epilepsy, I would have lasted like 15 seconds in there.
Gosh.
Do you know what I mean? It was that bad. I was like, and this was at 1 p.m. I would have watched this. Do you know what I mean? It was like I'm not ready for like this epilepsy-inducing blinding light show.
Some of these
in like a theater at 1 p.m.
Some of these bands, I think, like when you think back to bands in like the 80s or the 90s or whatever, there were scenes around the music, and I'm sure there still are scenes around the music, but I feel like if you're older, it's harder to potentially get into those scenes, you know, because they usually younger people are part of them, right? Like it's almost like part of their everyday, you know, like like say you live in California in the 80s and you're part of like the punk rock scene back then. It's kind of like your life, right? You go to parties with all the same people and all the same bands play, and it's very intimate, right? Like these aren't big stadium filling bands at this point. These are like party bands that play for 20 people, and the same 20 people over and over and over, and they're all drinking buddies as well, and they also deal drugs to each other and whatnot.
I see that as part of
you know what I
scene.
mean? It's a big scene, and I think
it's not really about the music. It's about,
I think
like,
for some people it is just the music.
Culture.
You know, like some people.
For some people it definitely is, and a lot of these bands had a big following, had a lot of people there, and were clearly very good at what they did. But I wasn't like wine. I'm not a wine expert. I'm also not a whatever their type of music is expert. As a result, I have no fucking idea what the hell's going on.
Name any of the bands?
I don't really want to because it's kind of mean. Well, okay, I saw this band. It was like obviously really talented drummer, really talented guitarist, and their singer. It just felt it was like either their boyfriend, you know, or their girlfriend or whatever, which was just terrible. And it was like,
what were they called?
I don't want to say.
Why?
Because I don't want to get letters.
They were called Radiohead, okay? He doesn't want to say, but they were called
Radiohead.
A little band called Radiohead.
Well, actually, I don't remember. I'm going to have to look it up.
Can you tell us a little bit, and that way at least we have some idea?
Okay, it was called...
Right, hold on.
That's a pretty cool name, actually.
It is a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
This band only has about 250 monthly listeners on Spotify. So what you've done
they're a
is...
small band.
Yeah, so you've listened to a very small and unpopular band, and they're not very good. Have you never been there before? Like where you've been to a gig and it's like the support act or whatever, and it's just like, these guys aren't very good. Like that's nothing new.
You're seeing this band, okay, at a point in their career, if you like, as a band, where it could go either way, right? Like they're probably just starting out, or maybe, you know, they've been doing it for a little while, but they just haven't gotten any real traction, if you like, or whatever. But I mean, there's tons of huge bands now that started like that, right? That would play gigs, empty gigs, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, there's bands now that can fill stadiums where their first gigs were like, they had no money, they turned up to places and just hoped that they could even get a gig and would play to nobody. Or they played to 10 people who would all leave the minute they started playing, basically.
Yeah,
because
like stand-up comedians do that as well, don't they? Where they start off and they're like playing in a gas station restroom as their first gig.
I mean, like they might have 250 monthly listens now, but who knows? Maybe in a couple of years.
It's like Malcolm Gladwell says, you have to do 10,000 hours or whatever. That's what the Beatles did before they got famous, you know. And I'm sure they were terrible if you saw them when they played their first gig. But no, I mean, I'm not. It's not like I. It's just I felt like I just felt like I didn't understand.
It's fair enough. It is. There is an age component to it as well, for sure.
There is definitely. I think again, and also all these music acts are trying to be original, right? They're trying to create something their own, right?
Yeah.
They can't just be a rip-off of someone else or copy someone else's style. So as a result, they're kind of experimenting with something a bit modern and new, and some elements of modern music I'm not a fan of. Just because I'm old. There's this thing that well, a lot of the kind of some of the noise. Again, that's what it sounds like to my dad. Just how noisy it is.
Yeah, well, it's just so noisy.
I mean, my son really likes this DJ that's, I think there's a character of the DJ in Fortnite, but he doesn't actually like, he likes the idea that this DJ has a character in Fortnite. I don't think he's ever heard any of the music or whatever, but he's like, oh yeah, he's my favorite DJ and stuff, you know? But, and like, most of the music in Fortnite just drives me nuts. Like, I have to turn the music off, the menu music and everything. You know, like, it's like, the one that's on now is like some anime music or something, and it is just such an assault on my ears. I just don't like it. It's not for me. Like, I get that people love it, and that's great, but it's not for me, and I will never understand how anybody could enjoy it, like, including my son, if he does even enjoy it. I don't know, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it is an old man thing for sure.
My eldest listens to music. I don't know what style it is. I've been trying to figure it out. It's all over Spotify, and generally the band, someone will know, someone in the comments will know. She listens to music where I would say most of the sort of avatars for the bands are like cartoon characters or anime characters. It's incredibly fast, like very high BPM, and it's just like intense. It almost sounds like you're playing 3 tracks at once.
It's like Gorillas, but like sped up.
No, it's way more intense than that. Like it's
no, but like the idea of like the little avatars, the animated people and
I
stuff.
guess, yeah. I mean, it's just.
Is it like caramel dancing type stuff? Like
no.
really like.
It's like video game music.
I don't know what that is. Yes.
Like meme music.
Very fast meme/video game music.
Yeah.
It's something core. It's called, and she listens to a lot of that as well as some good stuff. But this is what she listens to.
Has
just switch off.
Okay. So this one band I saw was like a mix. So it had a guy like doing grime kind of rap over the top of it.
Right.
It also had like a guy on keyboard doing panpipes.
Okay. Nice.
A girl on saxophone.
Nice.
And a guy. And so it was like he described it as like grunge grime soul. Right.
Okay. Right.
And I was like, this is weird, but also kind of good.
This is like mixing vodka and milk together.
Jeremy, that's the kind of shit. No,
get off the stage.
No one ever did a single move. But then also very few people like cheered or anything either.
That's always a good sign, I think. If you're
one of the lyrics I think was Wagwan, right?
Oh
Wagwan, whatever. Which means I don't know what it means.
What's going on?
But he that was kind of very common. Now, of course, the person next to me, who I didn't know, was singing along quite loud, but he wasn't singing Wagwan because he didn't know that was even a word.
Right.
So he's like older than me, more out of touch than me, and he's like. He was really enjoying it, but I was like, does he not understand? I didn't want to tell him.
Excuse me, mate, you're ruining my enjoyment of this. It's not whatever you're saying, it's one.
Hey, have I ever told you guys about Wesley Willis
whitest thing
before?
I've ever done. Oh my god.
Have I ever told you about Wesley Willis before?
Wesley Willis.
Wesley Willis. Flax, maybe you've heard of him. I don't know. Maybe Lewis has not.
Wincy Willis, the weather presenter.
No, Wesley Willis. Wesley Lawrence
Wesley
Willis.
Snipes,
No.
the actor from Blade.
Okay, listen. I'll read a little synopsis for you and see if it jogs your memory. Okay.
Okay.
As an American musician and visual artist diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1989. Willis began a career as an underground singer-songwriter in the outsider music tradition. Willis's songs are typically partially spoken in an MC style and partially sung in a nasal and out-of-tune manner reminiscent of punk rock vocals. They feature bizarre, humorous, and sometimes obscene or absurd lyrics sung over backing created by using the auto accompaniment feature of his Technics KN keyboard. His songs cover a wide variety of topics, with mental illness and consumerism being the most prominent themes. He's best known for songs like Rock and Roll McDonald's and I Whooped Batman's Ass.
Amazing.
I saw him live in Ottawa. Me and my friends went to see him. He gained a large cult following in the 90s, which is true, because we were able to listen to his music and download it from Napster.
Yes.
This is kind of like the start of the internet, really.
So
for
I
us,
do
it was.
remember it. It was kind of meme.
It was a bit
music.
memey at the time, yeah.
But I mean, we didn't really have memes the way we do now back then. I mean, obviously we all come from something awful, and there were definitely sort of in jokes. They were like the proto memes where people would reference certain things, and I guess that, you know, Flemish on Friday always had certain jokes that were like the early version of what we now understand as memes. Like, for example, now you can just have on TikTok a single image of a cat or a dog just gently nodding its head, put some text over it, and a particular song, and that's the meme.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just a format for a joke, like a knock-knock joke. Like it's but rather than just have knock-knock jokes or doctor, you know, there's a steering wheel in my pants and it's driving me nuts. Like that's the doctor is the very early version of a meme.
Yeah.
So yeah, Wesley Willis and that Rock and Roll McDonald's, I definitely recognise that. You'd see it referenced on something awful.
It was that's probably the weirdest live act I've ever seen in my life.
You saw him live?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And when we went to see him live, I'll tell you a little story about when we went to see him live as well. The bathroom of the venue was basically cordoned off, and we got there, we got a couple of beers, and we were having a fun time. Went to go to the bathroom, couldn't get in. We're like, what, is there like a lineup? What's going on with the bathroom? We were talking to like some guy, and he's like, no, it's Wesley Willis. And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, he does this everywhere he goes. Like, before he goes on stage, he takes a huge dump and basically clogs up like all the pipes in the bathroom.
Oh my god.
It just renders the whole thing unusable, or it's like a disaster zone in there.
Good god.
And apparently that was one of his things. I don't know if he did it intentionally. I guess he probably did do it intentionally.
That is some kind of power move. Oh, I'm sure.
It is a power move, yeah. So.
The weirdest band I ever saw, my friend and I were really into a band called The Fall.
Right.
This was sort of in the 90s and the early noughties. Marky Smith was the front man. They're kind of a legendary UK band. John Peel was a big fan of them, and we loved them because Marky Smith was a very unusual front man. Couldn't sing, looked like an alcoholic that would be on a park bench, but they were great. I mean, they were a really, really great band. Anyway, he went through members of that band very, very often, and a lot of people would sort of do gigs or go on to have little careers with pretty much their I guess qualifications were, I was in The Fall, right? So there was like, oh, this guy used to be the guitarist in The Fall, and now he's got his own band, let's go see him. But the thing is, about 1,000 musicians are probably playing The Fall. Marky Smith like fires. Anyway, we went to see this guy, and my mate was like, this guy was a guitarist for The Fall, we should go see him. I was like, cool. We went there. He had a very odd set where he just sort of played non-music. So one of the things he did was he had the band going, and then he came out with a drill and a violin and just ran the power drill over the violin strings, making this god-awful noise.
Okay.
And he was he had this dead look on his face, like, this is music, why aren't you all enjoying this? And sort of like, this unbelievable racket, and this dead-eyed expression. I thought, oh, he's like, almost like saying, you guys will fucking listen to anything, you consumerist scum. Like, that was, I assumed the vibe.
Okay.
And my mate looked at me, he was like, this is fucking awful, let's leave. So we went to the pub. But it was just, that was probably the weirdest set I'd ever been to, because it was packed, and people were just standing there, like, with their heads cocked to the side, like, yes. And some people were like, what the fuck? Like, it was a really weird mix.
Yeah.
But some people were clearly like, this is amazing. It was terrible. Yeah, it was terrible.
I do enjoy live music, and I would even go as far as to say I enjoy live music even if I'm not particularly into the band or
yeah, for sure.
I just like to experience live music.
I've seen tons of bands where I really enjoyed the live set, and then
Yeah, same.
look
But
at their
there
music
are
later
some
and you're
real
like, this
damn
is no good.
stinkers as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
you.
It's often the other way around, isn't it? Like you hear people, you hear music, and then you go and see the people live, and you're like, wow, this is not what I.
Yeah,
thought it
definitely.
was.
There are some bands that can't translate their sound to live. I mean, so Fleet Foxes are one of my favorite bands, and I remember that their music is very sort of close harmony. It's very, very, very structured, and their early live shows didn't sound anything like what they produced on record. And I remember thinking, oh man, I really wanted to see them live. Subsequent years, they've obviously gotten better, but when they first started out, I don't think they could quite get the sound right. And there are tons of bands where their live rendition has that energy and that rawness, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you listen to the record, and it's overproduced to fun. Like, just so overproduced that it sucks the soul out of it. Like, the drums are muffled. But I saw one band, loved them, really, really loved them, fantastic band. But when you saw them live, they were so loud, you couldn't hear the song. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but the drums, the guy was like, bah, bah.
Yeah.
And the guitar was so loud, and the singer was screaming. You thought, I know this song, but I can't actually hear it over the sound of you playing the song. That's how loud it is. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, I saw Andrew WK live in quite a big venue, but
What a
it
weird
wasn't
guy.
a stadium. It was just
Yeah.
it was a venue, and it was insane. Like, it was so loud, I was deaf for like a month after the show. It
Yeah,
was insane.
that's your eardrums being killed.
Yes,
That's how,
yeah. It was a fun show though. Like, the energy levels were just like in outer space. It was nuts. But
I always wanted to see Dan Deacon. He's apparently, his live shows are pretty legendary.
yeah,
But yeah, so Andrew WK, very odd career, because I felt like he's one of those acts that either music journalists or the record label or someone was like, this is going to be huge, and treated him and pushed him as if he was going to be huge, and he just wasn't.
yeah.
Like, his career just kind of, I mean, what is Andrew WK up to now?
I don't.
Like,
I
that
think
Party Hard song.
Yeah, the party
was
music
fucking
was
everywhere.
in a couple of movies, I think, and that's probably
It was just
enough
weird.
to keep him
Yeah,
comfortable.
I'm sure he's okay.
Yeah.
It's just weird to me because it felt like I was almost being told by the music industry, this guy is massive.
Yeah.
But none of us really seemed to believe it. We were like, is he? Because I really like his stuff. It's like, why is this
there's
guy everywhere? It was weird.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of, it's really, really energetic rock, isn't it? Like, it's fast, but like almost
It's kind of
exhaustingly so.
simplistic, I think. Yeah.
It's really
So,
weird.
you were asking where I was. Obviously, for regular listeners, I do sound different. I am in Sweden right now doing Dream League for 2 weeks. I'm out here for 2
Jeez.
weeks. I haven't done a 2-week stint in some time. I've normally just been tucking a week in here and there.
Yeah.
But I committed this year to being busy. I wanted to be
You
busy.
want to be
all year.
out there.
I wanted to be out there, so when they offered me work, I took as much as I could.
Right.
So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to Birmingham in April.
Nice.
For more Dota. I'm going to be there for a week. And there'll be more Dota coming up later this year and stuff. And it's weird. I guess the kids are old enough now that I don't feel any kind of... I know what it's like looking after them. Like, it's not as hard now that they're old enough. They make
Sure.
themselves breakfast, they make themselves lunch, they can cook dinner if you need them to. You know, I mean, my eldest is almost at the age where she'll be babysitting for other people.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, we don't mind leaving them alone for a little bit. And they generally go to their rooms when they come home from school. They don't want much to do with me anymore anyway. So I was like, you know what, why not squeeze a few more drops out of my miserable career and go through it. It's been fun.
Good.
It's been fun.
Good.
Is it the same old crowd?
Same old crowd, yeah, it
Same
is.
group.
Which,
Yeah.
you know, so I've seen people complain about this, where they're like, why is it the same old faces? And I'd say, first of all, it is an old game at this point.
Yeah, I don't
So-
think it's attracting new players like they were hoping to at one point. I think there was a big push to get new players into the game, but I think there's just other options nowadays, aren't there?
It's just
Not
so
even for
hard
MOBAs,
as
but
well.
I think there's just other way more games now and other games that people can get involved in. And Dota isn't the draw it used to be.
No, it's not. I mean, also, I'm not being funny, but in the time that you're learning Dota, I don't want to get into Dota chat.
No,
I just want
it's
to
a
talk about
slog though. It is a labor of love.
So
really,
much,
Jesus.
so
But
much
also
work.
you've lost the young, the
Tabarnak,
next generation
Kalis
coming
de
through. They are
Krusty
entirely
Kalis.
or even CS:GO. So maybe
Hey,
now,
yeah.
No, I mean,
League is
equally, you're not going to
fucking huge,
convince,
dude.
you're not going to
Get rid of
convince
this
10
fucking
million
BMW.
new people to put 1,000 hours into a game just to get some kind of idea of what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, you're just not.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I feel like people who give Dota a try, it either instantly grabs you, or you think, oh, I'm just not interested in this.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely, I'm not even going to say it's a Marmite of games, it's not like you either love it or hate it. It's just it either grabs you and you immediately want to put the time in.
Yeah.
Or you just go, I can see this is incredibly dense and it's not for me. Like, that's how it feels.
It's got enough in it to grab you in, but I think predominantly it grabs people in by pissing them off. Because no, I think it does though, because I think people play and they're like, there's no way I could possibly be this bad at a game.
Yeah.
What is it
Yeah.
about this game? And then they invest after that. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna figure it out. But they
So
don't
the
realize that it
complaints-
takes like thousands of hours to get even
Thousands, yeah.
decent at it.
So the complaints from people were not necessarily about the same old faces in terms of the pro players, because there are actually quite a few new pro players coming through over the last few years.
Yeah.
The issue was the talent, if you like. So people like me, why is it the same old people? And I suppose to answer that, if you're putting together a production, the main focus is the games. People want to watch the games. The stuff in between, the analysis, the filler stuff, and all that, tying together production. You just want people who are experienced in making that a smooth transition from one game to the next. And if you're an
it's
org,
filler. It's filler.
it's filler.
Yeah.
If you're an organization and you're putting together the production of a show, why would you say, hey, let's get 10 brand new people in
Yeah.
and just gamble that somehow this is going to be the same? I think
Well, you don't want
it's
people
a risk.
turning off.
No, you
I
don't,
think.
exactly.
But also, you're very familiar. You know, I think that's the other thing. Like, people. Okay, this week I've been playing Pacific Drive,
How
which
is it?
is Kepler's new. It's a game where basically you're. I read this book. I read the Boris and Arcades. Whatever their name is, their book about the exclusion zone and the roadside picnic.
Okay.
Which basically is like the whole thing is like it's like
Stalker.
Stalker,
Yeah.
right? And that's where obviously Chernobyl happened after they'd written this book, but the whole book was about what if aliens just popped by Earth and had a picnic and left again,
Mhm.
but all of their stuff, their yogurt pots, their cigarette butts, we're like the animals that come out of the forest and they're poisonous to us, right? Or they kill us, or they're like radioactive, or they're alien, right? And so it inspired this Annihilation and loads of other
Right.
media, right, over the years. That's all been really good. Anyway, Pacific Drive, similar idea. There's this peninsula with weird anomalies, alien shit. It's all walled off, and a little bit like SCP style. You get sucked into it, and you have to sort of. But you've got one of your car is like this remnant. Okay? It's
You got like
and
an old
you
like
get
Clark Griswold car that you drive
it's an old
around in.
1983 station wagon that's all beat up, but it's kind of enchanted, right? It's like it's magical,
And you can
It's-
upgrade it too.
And well, the whole game is like these remnants. People get obsessed with them, and you get obsessed with your car because that's the whole game. The whole game is upgrading your car, like polishing it, cleaning it, fixing it up, like changing the wheels, upgrading the stuff. The game is driving out into this exclusion zone, trying to dodge these weird anomalies, collecting shit and bringing it back. But it's such a pure game. It's like obviously it's what gaming has become these days is the evolution of like. Music and all about the other things we're talking about today, like it just, the only thing it doesn't have is the Assassin's Creed tower where you have to climb up and it pings the whole zone, right? It doesn't have that, but it has basically every other thing that games have,
Right.
you know, and it's quite slow as a result, but it's also quite like there's quite a lot of filler,
Right.
and I always find that this is quite interesting when I see games have boring, deliberately make their game slow and boring and awkward, right? Because it keeps the player grounded, it immerses the player, but it's also comforting sometimes.
Yeah,
you know,
I
it's
thought
like-
Death Stranding did that really well. I love that.
it's like it feels like they could have just sped it up. Like if I gave feedback on the game, I'd be like, this is too slow. But I think they have to resist that sort of player feedback and make it quite slow. And it's what I call like a good game for streaming, streamers, because you can kind of just stop at any point and talk to chat, and then, you know, get in your car and put it in gear and drive into the rain. And it's, I don't know, like I don't have to pay full attention while playing it. Sometimes I do.
Okay.
So it has those like gripping moments where you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to pay attention now. I'm gonna pause my movie. I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna do it. And I think it's similar. I don't know, like I just feel like some people it's comforting. Like the filler that you do, P-Flex, I'm sure is excellent and has its moments, right? Much like everything does. You know, like The Apprentice has its moments, but mostly people watch it because they kind of know what to expect. It's kind of.
It's just easy and comfortable.
It's like brown, like pink noise, not brown noise.
Also, I'll be honest with you, a lot of the people that I work with are really, really good at what they do. And when you get someone new in, sometimes you realise why the people that do what they do are hired all the time. It's because they're very good at it.
Oh, well, you're not wrong. We have a similar thing like with the Oxcast people, you know, when we've been playing games together for 10 years, you know, and so sometimes when we play with someone new, even though they're amazing, they don't quite gel with our group.
Yeah.
And as a result, they're talking in the wrong places. They're like saying things that are a bit awkward, or like
they're horrible racists, all that stuff.
Well, it is quite common for someone to take time to fit in with their group. But also, each group has its own dynamic. What I'm saying is that, in a sense, though, P-Flex, you having this set group that's done it together for so many years is almost exclusionary to new people coming in. Like, it doesn't matter how good they are, they're going to take time to fit in.
Oh yeah,
like
100%.
Yeah.
I suppose the thing is, we're not saying we don't want new people. The problem is, like, I guess it's a difficult one, because how do you get new people without a tier 2 and a tier 3 scene? And that whole scene of sort of the secondary and tertiary events that orgs would just put on kind of died. They got rid of a lot of those things in the last few years for various reasons I'm not going to go into. That whole scene kind of died off. So it's hard for new people to get their faces out there. So therefore it's hard to find these new people to hire. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, when it comes to like commentary and stuff, a lot of the guys that do the casting they are the best at doing it.
Yeah.
That's why they get hired over and over again. So.
And then you have people come and go too. There's people, long-standing people who leave the scene for a variety of reasons as well and stuff too.
There's always new blood coming along who are good, like Jenkins, you know,
right?
like this, who are relatively new but also really good. And
although he has been around for ages.
Well, now, yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is though that it's not worth taking the risk on an unknown.
Right? Yeah.
He needs to have done something to prove that people don't hate it, because you don't want people just like, oh my god, this guy's awful, or like just can't, you know, an all Twitch chat and everyone's just like turning off, you know, that's like the ultimate.
And it could be really bad for that person's career as well. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it might not be their fault. It might just be that they're just not experienced with it.
So further to me being in Sweden, first of all, it's very cold here, much colder than I remembered it being in February.
Well, it's February.
Yeah, but I knew it was going to be cold.
Sweden.
But it's like 0.
Yeah, well,
it's like
that's
0
cold, yeah.
when the wind hits you. It's cold.
You're lucky it's that.
Yeah, it could be much colder.
I know. It's still cold. I came from a fairly balmy, almost spring-like London, landed in Stockholm. I was like, fuck me, there's like ice, there's still grit in the roads.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of snow lingering around. I was like, Jesus. So I'm looking forward to getting back. It's going to feel like landing in one of those hot foreign countries when you get off the plane.
You're going to have your Hawaiian shorts on and a camera around your neck and stuff.
But I don't know if this is just a Stockholm thing, even if it's just this neighbourhood thing. We're in sort of the southern part of Stockholm, Hammarby. I can't pronounce it, Swedes, I'm sorry. Hammarby, whatever it's called. There's tons of restaurants around here. The Swedes seem to love to eat out. They eat out a lot. They eat out quite early, and it seems to be every single night.
Yeah.
So this was a Wednesday. I was trying to get a table at a restaurant. It was for about 10 people. But you think on a Wednesday that should be easy enough? Nowhere.
Oh,
nowhere.
man.
Couldn't get a table. They were all like, nope, we're booked, nope, we're booked. So we finally found a place. We just walked in and hoped for the best. It was about 7 o'clock. Place was packed. By 7:30 it was empty. Everybody left.
Wow.
And we were the only ones left in there.
I guess it's a school night, really, so...
Yeah, but so they're eating out, but they eat out early. Like, I don't think they're like the rest of Europe that eats late. I guess maybe because it gets dark so quickly.
Is this the aging population thing?
No, these were young people.
So like the world is getting older, right? The average age of people in like Germany is like 46.
Of course, yeah.
You think young people nowadays are a bit more cleaner living than maybe we were when we were younger?
Oh, they don't drink at all.
Yeah.
Like, when I was out last night, there were 10 of us out. I was the only one that had a beer. Actually, there were 2 of us.
Wow.
The other lad, the old Welsh lad. So it was like, he had 1 beer, I had a couple of beers, but nobody else had it. They all just water for me, please. I was like, man, times are changing.
Yeah.
Well, we're there for work.
I'm there for work. The next day, a lot of us weren't working.
You gotta get greased up for work.
What, 1 beer?
You're used to working on a few pints deep, though.
Yeah.
You know, that's like your natural state.
Well, and so I've decided to cut back on drinking this year.
Oh.
You're like that guy on The Wire who's got like he's got like a Mickey in his desk. He's just been on the job. He's retiring in like 2 weeks.
Just let him see his time out. He's almost got his pension. So I obviously when I'm streaming, I normally have a few cans when I'm streaming to just kind of have a laugh and everything, and because just got into the habit of it really. So I was like, all right, the drinking is going to have I'm going to have to do less of it, because it was just becoming a habit where I'd have a few cans to relax in the evening. I was like, actually I don't need that, and I found, so what I did was I substituted like drinking alcohol for just having tonic water, the same as I'd have for a gin and tonic, but with no gin. So just the tonic water with a bit of lime in. And that sort of, I realised that I was just drinking for the taste, and just sort of habitually, because I didn't want to just drink water in the evenings, so I would just have a couple of cans. So if I just have tonic, that was fine. So we got here on the Friday. I had 1 beer with a couple of the lads. Then we came back to the hotel, and then I hadn't had a drink until last night. I only had 2 beers. I was like, man, if I was in Bristol right now, I would have already had a 5 a.m. finish, a 3 a.m. finish, and probably another 5 a.m. finish. And my liver would be aching. So I was just like, let's try and cut down on the booze. Let's see what effect it has. And I've noticed a couple of differences already. First of all, I didn't realize that most people can just wake up in the morning. That's something. Even having a couple of beers makes me much more groggy the next day. Just like 2 beers. I kind of hadn't realized that.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
So you've been influenced by all these clean living young folks who
Yeah.
are,
I was like, maybe they're onto something.
Yeah.
Maybe they're onto
You know what a lot of young folk are doing now as well, Flax? They're
What?
excluding meat from their diets too.
Yeah, I know. So
Flex already does this. We talked about this.
But I got a couple of comments, and some people on my Discord were asking about the egg thing.
How much you love eggs.
No, so like I don't want to get into it again because obviously we did it last week. I've said this so many times. I have no problem with vegans. Lewis is a vegan. He's one of my best friends. When we go down to Bristol, whatever, I will go out to eat with people, and they're all vegans, and I'm not like preaching at them and shouting at them and stuff like that. I just require 2 things. Occasionally,
that's just common decency, Flex. That's not. You don't need to have a
right.
fucking...
But the idea is that that's not what I'm doing.
Right,
The idea is that somehow I'm like, how dare you fucking get some meat down in that way? Like an orc. Like a fucking orc, right? Like I'm not that person, so let's not give that caricature. My issues are, number 1, sometimes I will have legitimate questions. I think asking why vegans don't eat eggs is fair enough. And a friend of mine said that he does know some people who are vegans, but eat the eggs that their own chickens produce.
Yeah.
Because they know that these chickens are well looked after and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's an egg. So I was like, because the logic to me of veganism makes sense as a concept if you're saying it's about the harmful treatment of animals, like the harming animals. I completely understand that. I think that's a genuinely noble stance. Fair enough. There's no actual moral argument that I can make that says actually torturing animals and eating them is a good thing. I'm not going to try and make that argument. So I will just occasionally have questions, and one of them was about eggs. And everybody jumped to, well, people at these battery farms. Well, I'm saying, all right, so if we take the battery farms out of it, and these chickens live a luxurious life, you're still not eating the eggs.
So
and if the answer is no,
eggs.
then just say, well, it's a personal choice, I don't like eggs.
That's
a
how they
completely
grow.
different conversation. That's what I'm saying.
Dude, sorry. I think we're all right. Quick things though. Let's go through before we run out of time. Sips, The Apprentice was in Jersey.
It was.
In Jersey, please talk about
It
this.
was. I watched the episode. It was good. It was, well, I mean, it was The Apprentice. They were all
Do you
useless.
recognise local Jersey sites?
Well, of course. I mean, I knew everywhere they were. I knew, like, even just like when they're in the car in the countryside, I was like, oh yeah, I know where they are. Like, you become familiar with the place that you live in. Like, it's
Especially a small place, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're going to know it
was
inside out.
it like watching yourself on a task box or something, you know, or on a like YouTube video? Like, do you know what I mean?
no, not really. But like it was. I mean, there was one point when they were. Well, you've been here before, Lewis. You know the central market in town.
Yeah.
There was one point when they were in there and they were snooping around trying to find some stuff or whatever. And Karen Brady had her notepad and her sunglasses on, and
You bet she did.
She was looking around and making notes, and we thought that was kind of funny because like, you know, to think that Karen Brady is like in the market that you go to nearly every day or whatever. Like,
Yeah, the place where you get that pizza.
yeah. I mean, that was about it. They went to like the, you know, the really nice parts of the island for sure.
Karen
But-
Brady's so hot. She's such a strong and powerful woman. Whew. All about her. Step on me, mommy.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So
Good
yeah,
stuff.
no, it was good. It was interesting.
Okay.
It was funny.
That's enough for Lewis. Please don't talk
Okay.
about that anymore. Okay. Good stuff. Let's move on.
So, do you want to hear the gaming news?
I don't want gaming news. I want weirdo news.
I want
Okay.
gaming news.
I want weirdo news.
We'll do one of each. We'll do one of each.
I want gaming news.
Weirdo
In
news.
America, Wendy's is starting to do surge pricing, like Uber
Are you
does,
fucking
right?
serious?
So when it's busy, the prices are going to go up.
That
How has no
crazy.
restaurant thought of this before? That's ingenious. Those
So, yeah.
devilish bastards.
So burgers, Frosties, and other menu items will cost more.
Maybe that's what they're doing in Sweden. That's why they're all leaving at 7:30. The
Yeah,
surge
yeah.
starts at 8. Gotta get
Yeah.
tuck in, guys. It's almost 8 o'clock.
I think it's just because it gets dark earlier. They got used to eating early anyway. So surge pricing at Wendy's, okay.
In related food news, the 29 vending machines at the University of Waterloo in Canada are being removed after students discovered they all have little cameras in them that film whoever uses them and whoever's in front of them. You know how like, ATMs have cameras in them, right? And they use it on crime shows all the time. Vending machines are now just sticking them in
Right.
as a standard practice.
Yeah, but standard practice for what?
Well, because to catch people who are trying to shake out those crisps loose, you know?
Well, do they have a little alarm in them?
Shake the polo mints out. I don't know. People still get crushed by vending machines. Maybe it's for safety reasons, but no, it just seems like it's.
Get their arms
seems like
stuck
it's.
in there, yeah.
Wow. Everywhere's got cameras these days. They're so cheap, and I would imagine they were in everything.
Yeah.
If I didn't know better, but I don't care if a vending machine watches me buy a Twix, unless, of course, it reports me to the vegan police.
I just assume there's cameras everywhere, and that's why I make a point to just jerk off everywhere I go.
I see.
As much as possible. Because
So the students were like appalled that there was a camera in the vending machine?
Yes, students got mad about it.
Why?
Because they're naive and they don't realise the cameras are everywhere.
But they're everywhere.
They're probably on 15 cameras already while they're using the vending machine.
That is odd.
That's why. Because because it's news, isn't it? Right. Kids in Norway, studies have shown that younger kids are being bullied over their lack of cosmetic skins and in-game items in FIFA, Fortnite, and Warzone.
Jeez.
So again, no, this is not news. Kids have always been bullied for having less.
I don't have to
Yes.
worry because I've got I bought the Wu-Tang pack for Fortnite, and I've got a season 1 Skibbity toilet skin for my guy as well, so I'm good.
God.
Your digital shit
Yes, sir.
is not as good as my digital trainers. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's I'm sorry, but that is just kids are shits to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part 1,000. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
They did. There's a thing in Fortnite. My son plays it every day with his friends from school. They go on and play like when they get home from school. And every once in a while I just peer over his shoulder and say, oh, take cover, or I'm giving him advice. He's probably way better than me. But he's on the shop and he was talking to his friends, and they got a Lady Gaga skin on there, which a bit weird because I feel like she's not very
No,
she's not
I don't
super
think
relevant anymore, right? Or
especially
maybe
not
she
for
is.
the kids that play Fortnite. I think that's bizarre.
But anyway, she's got like a skin, and there's like some music clip with an emote and stuff. And I just figured, nobody's probably gonna buy that, right? And he joins the game in the lobby. Like every fucking person has it. Like there's all Lady Gaga skins, and they're all doing the emote music and stuff. So what the fuck do I know?
How strange.
Oh, God. I've got. Okay, apparently there's a company called GameSet, and this sort of happens every few years that something comes around. But there's the idea of this device by a tech company that you put a little box on your desk or whatever, and it connects to what you're doing in a video game, and will release scents alongside your gameplay.
Oh.
So it's got the smells of. Do you want to hear the smells? Can you guess what the smells are?
Farts
blood.
for sure.
How many farts are there in a video game, Sims?
We are playing the wrong
Blood.
games.
What does blood
blood.
smell like?
Kind of irony.
My favorite game, Perfect Lover, has a lot of farting in it. Okay.
No, there's no farts. The ones are gunfire. The smell of gunfire.
gunfire.
I
the
would be
smell of-
alarmed to smell that in my gaming garage. I would
Well,
think that there was actually a fire breaking
The
out.
smell of explosions,
That's not very
which sounds like
clever.
it would be very similar to the smell of gunfire.
Yeah.
The smell of racing. I guess imagine that's like burned tires.
Imagine the thing malfunctioned and you're playing like Baldur's Gate 3 and you meet like your dream honey for the very first time, and it emits the smell of shit and just ruins the whole thing for you. This smells like manure. What the fuck is going on with my scent box?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other two are storm and forest.
What does that mean?
Ooh. Storm
I
is
don't
like
know.
it smells like wet leaves and stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe forest does too. Forest
Freshly
probably just
cut
smells
grass.
like pine, like those pine scented car scent.
I mean, I'm not
things.
being funny, but Sims should get the smell of soap for all those power washing.
Yes.
The smell of detergent.
Bubblegum
and,
soap.
Freshly wet concrete.
Yes, that would be very
And
nice.
and the smell of old recycling.
I actually have a diffuser in my garage, and
Put
I
some
have
soap in it.
the smell of cedar in here all the time, and it's glorious, very relaxing.
So this immersive thing, the way it works is it uses AI
Of course.
to hear what's capture the audio. So it's not connecting to the game anyway. It's just like the audio that the game produces. If it hears like that stock bear sound, then it just must like make a bear fart or whatever sound.
I would love it if it could detect, using AI, it could detect what I'm doing, like farting or burping. And then when I'm playing Tarkov or whatever with a squad, if I burp, they could smell it would their scent box would go up, and it would just be
smell
like
the
kind of
pickle
like
juice.
bad breath, and like vinegar and cola mixed
Oh
together.
my god.
That would be great.
Such a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Just
You
like
can
do a
send it
little
to your
fart,
friends.
just a really eggy one. I think it would improve, morale across the
A
squad.
must-have.
Yeah. Oh my god,
Yeah.
who let one rip? You're trying to hold dorms. Fucking hell, it stinks. I gotta get out of here.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the idea of that. Well, I don't.
No
one's gonna buy
I
it.
hate that.
of course.
Didn't they do
It's
something
shit.
like this for
Shit
the South
idea.
Park game? The
Yes, when they
fractured
promoted it.
butthole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. No,
What
I
else
had
have
to
you
wear
got?
it.
What else have you got?
The Florida Man Games has happened.
This is as in like an Olympics, but for Florida now.
They rose up by the dozens from across Florida, caricatured competitors in tank tops and cut-off shorts for a showdown that treats evading police and wrestling over beer like Olympic sports.
Nice.
The most insane athletic showdown on Earth It pokes fun at the state's reputation for brawling, drinking, gunfire, reptile wrangling, and other antics that involve jail, time, or intensive care.
Jesus.
So yes, it's I don't even know. Okay, so James Gordon of DeLand won the first event, which involved wolfing down a plate loaded with barbecue pork and sausage.
Jesus.
Okay,
That sounds
he chugged a
disgusting.
beer to celebrate. I've lived in Florida my whole life, he said after washing sauce from his hands.
Nice.
They're calling these events. I'm calling this fucking Tuesday afternoon.
Very good.
One event had contenders dueling in muddy water in an inflatable pool,
Jesus.
pummeling each other with weapons made from pool noose and duct tape. Another was a theft relay in which competitors raced while carrying a pair of bicycles, copper pipes, and catalytic converters.
Heavens.
Good God.
Yeah, it's great. Donnelly42 says, Larry Donnelly, I have an absolute disregard for self-preservation. I will do anything. When I was in the military, I did a little alligator wrestling.
Of course.
Says,
I have no regard.
yeah, maybe some other day.
Well, if that's the case, you can take my pinched nerve then, my friend, and I'll carry on enjoying my life if you don't value yours.
Amazing.
All right, listen, I gotta go to the doctor, so
Yeah.
Okay,
my man's gotta go.
thank you everyone.
Good luck,
We'll see you
Simpsy
all
boy.
next
thank you. Yeah,
time.
wish me luck, and I'll let you know next time how it goes.
And enjoy yourselves out there, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.
Pickaxe. This
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Pet injuries and additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high quality bikes, which might lead to another discovery. Getting back on the saddle isn't always comfortable. Good news is Sierra has massage guns. And chafe wipes too. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
So, obviously it's the mailbag. Welcome. I did a jingle last mailbag, and
That's right.
People have sent in a couple of jingles,
Right.
sort of remixes of the one that I did. So,
Right.
why don't I drag those into the Discord? You guys can listen to them, and we'll get the editor to play them so that we know which one, and people can decide which one they like. I don't think we're going to have a permanent jingle, but let me just download these real quick.
Well, who knows? What if one of these ones is a banger and we decide to keep it?
True. I think you're going to like this one a lot. All right, are you ready? We'll play tune one on three. So I'll go 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. Wow. It sounds almost like 80s Christmas.
But then it ends with this kind of...
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
So Zip say wow during it kind of like feels like it was part of it, but he's not in it.
Wow.
But I
You
like
can sample.
I like that. I think
Yeah.
you should add Zip say wow.
Wow.
Sample me in. Yeah, that's a great
You
sample.
just give him a clean wow now.
Can you just say wow?
Wow.
Alright, let's listen.
The most unimpressed.
Let's listen to tune 2. Ready?
Okay,
Alright, this one's a little longer, so we can dip out earlier because it gets a little repetitive.
It's a minute long.
Yeah, I know. We're going to stop at 20 seconds. Alright, 3, 2,
Okay.
1, go. I'm open to suggestions, and if someone can take this raw version and turn it to something good, maybe we'll do something with it. This is how it goes.
Wow.
Once again.
This is good.
This is great. I want to listen to the whole thing.
Once again.
Okay.
Alright, I was gonna stop it, but that was actually pretty good.
Yes,
That was,
Yeah.
I don't think we used the whole thing.
No, but I think I do like the way it builds, and you can hear the wow guitars coming in and stuff. It feels like it's going to be an awesome song, and then it's just me going here once again.
Here once again.
I think they've both taken your fairly tuneful song and
Quite
made
generous.
it into enhanced it.
Mm.
It feels like they may have also tuned you a little bit.
I hope
that's
so.
the standard stuff now, right? Like,
All right, this is tune. We found a tune 3. I found tune 3. Let's listen
Tune
to
3.
this.
oh, you found one.
Yeah, this was one I hadn't found previously. Ready? We'll play it on 3, 2, 1, play.
It's not you.
No.
It kind of sounds like music that would be in a documentary about whales or something. You know?
Oh, okay.
I'm stopping it. I'm stopping it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop it too.
Alright.
I'm not saying it's bad, because it's not. It is pretty good.
It's quite downbeat. I'll say that.
It's downbeat. Yeah, I think
downbeat.
you set the tone. I think you set the downbeat tone, because
Yeah.
whilst your original jingle was tuneful, I agree with Lewis.
It is
wasn't.
sad.
It wasn't punchy enough.
The mailbag.
Yeah.
It was a little downbeat. Yeah. I'll work on it.
The mailbag.
I'll work on it.
here. Once again, it is a bit sad.
It's sad. That's because I've got to read these emails. I guess that's
Maybe do the mail. Maybe like I think the Bob the Builder theme music is pretty punchy, right?
You know what? You know what I like? The Fireman Sam theme tune is a fucking
Oh,
banger.
that is a great
That
one.
is
Yeah.
such a good theme song. Like that gets me pumped. And
So
I've
moves
never
I
watched
make
the
way
Fireman
is Fireman Sam and he's
Sam.
gonna save the day. I know.
Sam, you cannot ignore.
Sam is the next door.
What a fucking
I know,
banger.
it's so good.
That's
It
a
is so
great
good,
tune.
actually. Yeah.
Alright, so I had about 30 emails about eggs after talking about
right.
eggs.
Well, okay. So, and what was like the general consensus?
Well,
that-
so I'll say first of all that the emails were very nice. Like
Right.
they were not unpleasant emails. There were a
No.
lot of because I did genuinely want to know why.
They were nice like eggs.
were
They
they,
were almost as delicious as an egg from a mistreated hen. They
was
really
the
were.
was the tone kind of like a gentle check yourself before you wreck yourself sort of thing?
No, it was just
Oh.
here are the reasons. Like it was like
Oh,
fact
right.
checking. So
Oh, okay.
this is probably the best. This is Luke, someone who is not a vegan but interested
Right.
in the ethics of food. So number one, making eggs requires breeding hens. This also results in roosters, which are slaughtered if they're useless for egg laying. So that has been a very common thing, and I know that in very large chicken farms and egg farms,
Yeah, they are
just have a
destroyed
conveyor belt,
immediately.
and they're
Yeah.
like, boy, and they toss the boys onto a grinder, just
It
instantly.
is like
kills
some
them.
dystopian nightmare
It's
machine,
horrible.
isn't it?
Yeah. Although apparently in another email, someone said that they have developed this thing. It's like a laser that very quickly passes over the egg and can tell whether it's a male or female chick in there, and they just bin that egg off. It's like very good.
Wow.
Vegans can find no ethical argument for keeping animals in captivity, nor for using, and this is Luke's choice of phrase, the fruit of their labours, as
Sure.
animals cannot consent to anything. Consent is required, as other animals cannot be morally separated from humans, and it's obvious with humans that consent is required to be the recipient of their labour. So essentially, the argument is, what's the real difference between humans and animals? We're all animals, and we shouldn't mistreat them. That's what it boils down to. So we're essentially enslaving animals just because we're much smarter than them, I guess.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a decent moral argument.
Yeah.
Still going to eat eggs because I just kind of think animals are there to be fucked with.
I
Sorry.
think eggs is a
You and several billion other people.
Yeah, I'm like, well, we won the war. I'm sorry, we evolved beyond you, and now we're going to eat you. They
I
eat
think,
us.
I
I'll
think-
put it that way.
to me, eggs is like it's not like a very straightforward one. Like I think that there's definitely situations like where you could still justify it, and it's maybe still cruel, but not that cruel. You know what I mean? Like not as cruel as some of the other applications of animal products and byproducts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think eggs you could probably still feel like you could sleep at night. And it's not. You haven't really been horrible to the chickens that have laid them, especially if you keep them yourself
Well,
and
exactly.
you look after them. I mean, those eggs are just gonna rot there.
they're just gonna
They're
die.
never gonna do anything with them.
So a friend of mine said that he's got some vegan friends of his who have a chicken called Barry. Barry is a lady chicken, and this chicken sleeps in their room. And they carry Barry up and down the stairs, and Barry the chicken is like a pet, like a household beloved chicken.
Yeah.
And they're vegans, but they eat Barry's eggs because why not? I mean, Barry's just laying these eggs.
Yeah.
And I think certainly my
This is making
point
me feel
was
sick.
why?
these things. I think, Jed, like eggs, they give a lot of people and me a bit of the ick. I've said this last
Yeah,
time.
a few people
Like,
said that.
like
but
the
they're-
idea that you're eating this sort of weird embryo that came out of its arse.
I
It's
look
like-
at them and they just look
it's not
so.
us.
They look like
Cloaca.
purity and life is what eggs say to me, and certainly
You're
symbolically,
eating
eggs
like
have
an
always been there.
unborn egg baby.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Chicken baby is full of it. So it's just such a gross idea. Like, so just super gross. Isn't it?
A lot of people wrote in and said the same thing.
Oh.
Anyway, let's move on. This is about maple syrup.
Oh.
Hello, period. My name is Thierry from Quebec. In episode 279.
Yeah.
In episode 279, Sips talked about maple syrup production and indicated that sugar and other things were added to the maple syrup. I must say that this is complete bollocks. The process of maple syrup production could not be more simple. Maple water is harvested from the maple trees and collected into large vats. This maple water is then boiled down into maple syrup. 40 litres of maple water produces 1 litre of maple syrup. The maple water contains about 2% sugar, and the final maple syrup more than 66% sugar. You can also keep boiling it to obtain other products such as maple taffy or maple candies, which are still made without any additives. Have a good day, and if you ever come to Quebec...
Well, I've definitely had the taffy and stuff, and the places I've been to, they do sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top. So
thank you very much to Thierry from the Canadian Marketing Board. There you go. That was a nice message. Just putting the track right on maple syrup, not needing added sugar.
no, I don't. I agree. I don't think
it's
it
sugary
needs
enough
it.
already. It's 66%
I
sugar.
don't think it needs it, but I think just a sprinkle on top sometimes, depending. I think it's fine.
A little sprinkle of sugar, just your pancakes aren't sugary
just a
enough
little
with
tiny bit of sugar on top of your sugar.
Right, no. It's just to set off that, you know,
Well,
just
look, it's only 66%
take the edge off the sugar.
It's
Yeah,
only
there's
66%
still room
sugar.
for
There's
more
room-
in there. Yeah.
There's room for growth.
This is who am I? We have evolved this way, and several other billion humans love the sugariest shit.
Oh my god! What about people that put sugar on their cereal? That always.
Well, what cereal?
I have turned a
Any.
corner, and I put salt on my watermelon.
You
You
put
know,
what on your
what?
watermelon?
Salt?
Salt. Yeah, have you ever tried salt on
What?
watermelon? Not like table salt, like a little bit of kosher sprinkled with salt, you know, a little bit of nice.
Do you know what?
salty
I would
salt.
rather have a chicken sleeping in my room than put salt on a watermelon.
That sounds
You should
really
try it.
gross. No,
You
I'm
really
good.
should try it.
I'm
I've
good.
had pickled
I would rather
watermelon
the
as well, it's
chicken
pretty
sleep
good.
in my room and lay an egg on my face every day than have salt on my watermelon.
Directly into your mouth.
Sure.
Fuck me.
Holy
Okay.
crap! Last night I've got this. I've got some. It's either a pinched nerve or the doctor thinks maybe it's like a muscle problem. I got some muscle spasms or something. I don't know. But whatever. For whatever reason it is, I cannot sleep on my side. So I'm forced to sleep on my back. And last night I actually woke myself up multiple times through snoring. Because the minute I'm on my back, I'm snoring. I'm like a foghorn. It's insane. And
Yeah, that's like a
multiple.
sleep apnea thing. I think a lot. That's kind of. I think very similar to that.
Yeah.
Like sleeping.
multiple
And I think you're
times. It's not like I'm out of breath or anything like that. I just very loudly snoring, like it was insane. And then my wife was
Woke
like,
yourself up with the volume.
yeah. And my wife, like maybe an hour after we went to sleep, she was like, I woke up because like I was like lightly sleeping anyway, and waking myself up with the snoring. And she's kind of peering over me, and she's like, "Are you actually serious?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You're joking, right?" I was like, "No, what do you mean? I was sleeping." She's like, "I've never heard anything like it. It sounds like there's like a jet engine like in my bed next to me. It's so fucking loud. Like I have not slept a wink since we went to bed." So I was like, all right, well, I'll just go downstairs. Because then I just slept on the floor downstairs. I actually did sleep, but I still have to sleep on my back on the flat floor, and woke myself up about 1,000,000 times with loud ass snoring. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm cursed at this point. Like it's
That's
a full curse.
So
Yeah.
we recorded this the day after the podcast where we talked about you might have a trapped nerve or something
Yeah,
in there.
I got some
It's actually
painkillers,
still
which are quite nice actually, but still some degree of pain. Like I think I just
How
gotta-
strong are we talking? Are we talking like opioid crisis, or are we talking like modern day?
No, we're talking like some
Meth.
Like it's not.
Codeine.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's stuff you could still buy over the counter.
Yeah, but it's like probably a bit of a stronger dose, which but not strong enough to send me into potential cardiac arrest because the had like high dosages of codeine. I don't take well to it. I don't like it doesn't agree with me at all. I was like doubled over and felt like I had like a vice on my chest, like this is crushing. Yeah.
God, it's terrifying.
Fuck, I know it's nuts. You spend your whole life thinking, fuck, I'm invincible, and then you reach the age of 27, you're just like, man, I'm fragile. What's wrong with me?
You're just fucking your hot wife and your neck creates like a crick.
Jeez.
And then,
God. You're just having full-on gymnast sex, and then next thing you know, you're fucking crippled. You can't even...
So I was hanging from the ceiling on my sex swing.
I was swimming around by my scrotum. And now I can't even lift a glass of water. How am I supposed to drink my cum now?
Jesus.
What? Sorry.
What?
I thought we were talking about wild sex.
We were good.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is from Warren, which is not a name you hear much anymore. This is called Being a Shithead in Games. That's the title of this email. Now this is going to anger a lot of people, but I think it's quite funny.
Yeah.
During COVID, me and my friends would play a lot of CSGO during our online classes, so I'm going to assume that Warren is very young.
Yes.
This got boring really quickly, so we started getting randoms banned in CSGO. Right now, we have a list on our Discord with over 200 names of people we got banned, ranging from 30 minutes to 7 days. We did this so they would go into a game of CSGO and they would force people to get booted from the server and banned. We did this by first cussing them out like no tomorrow and hoping that they'd shoot us. If that didn't work, we would stand in front of them while they were shooting at the enemy and hope they'd accidentally shoot us. Last, we gave them our secret weapon, a Molotov cocktail. After they threw it, we would rush towards it and stand in it with 3 or 4 people, which worked most of the time. Although it was a lot of fun back then, I can't stop thinking now how many days or even weeks we ruined because we had to let out our anger during COVID. That they wanted to vent during their shitty time, we just had to be a bunch of assholes. Indeed, Warren, that is some real asshole behavior.
Yeah. I would say that not only did you waste everyone else's time, but you probably wasted your own as well.
Oh, I bet it was a lot of fun, though. I bet they had fun.
What a school teacher thing to say.
Yes.
It's your own time, you wasted.
Don't get me wrong. I don't mind. I like to wind people up or whatever, but like, I don't know. That's like borderline, like just kind of addictive.
I think you love to be an arsehole in games, though. Maybe not online games, but I've seen you kick dogs in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, you know,
that's a virtual dog.
It's a virtual dog.
Dog in a video game.
And he's wasting his own time.
And I'm wasting my own damn time.
It is always sort of surprising to me how many horrible arsehole options there are in video games, and how, there's a lot of them in Baldur's Gate, there's a lot of them in the Fallout games, you know, you can really, and even like Mass Effect.
Yeah, but I mean, these are single-player experiences. We're talking about going out of your way to get actual people banned from a game who are just joining games with the intention of playing them the way they're meant to be played.
And they're thinking, I've got time for one game.
Yeah.
Hopefully, these random people I queue with.
Well, those are the people I feel sorry for. I mean, if those guys that you got banned were also doing the shit that you guys were doing, then, you know, fair enough, I guess.
No, they were not.
The circle of life. But like, if you're just getting random people banned who are just logging on just
banned for team killing on their server.
Yeah, but they might be gutted for a week. They can't play their favorite game because of your shitty behavior. Look,
well, you probably proved their life not playing CS:GO for a week.
Yeah, they probably got outside. That is a point as well. But the intention.
Woman.
Please don't email in about that.
Anyway, I want people to tell me why, because whenever I play these games with choices, I always find it very difficult to be an arsehole unless for no.
Someone is to be an arsehole online, but it comes naturally to you in the real world.
Yes, I was going to say.
You want to play a different kind of character.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Pete.
This is why we play games to escape. It's escapism.
I don't know, I just always feel bad. Feel bad when I'm seeing even watching back videos of people showing me clips of what happens when you're mean to this guy. You know, what happens if you do this to this? What happens if you kill all these guys and you talk to this guy and he's sad? Do you know what I mean? What if you kill this guy's whole family and then talk to him? You You know, it's
Right,
like,
but I think it's because if it's a good story, you get immersed in it.
Well-
Like, that's it. You become that character. I mean, for example, when I'm designing my character, I can't do what, like, Sips does, or I make him look insane with, like, you know, some weird thing coming out of his head,
I
bizarre
love
hair,
that,
and he's
though.
like...
I
right,
love
so
games where
I
they
can't do that,
appear in
because I
all
want to
of
be
your...
that guy.
I love when
Yeah, I
they
wouldn't
appear
put
in their
myself in the
cutscenes,
game.
though, because they look...
It's so ridiculous.
It is so ridiculous. That's why
Like,
it's so great.
you can't become immersed in a storyline where they cut to your character and they're like, you are the only one who can save us. You're just like a naked dwarf with a giant nose, bright green hair.
Yeah,
and a
but then I
bikini on.
made in Baldur's Gate 3, I made my guardian look exactly like me. So it was
Right.
like it was like a little dwarf. It was a little female dwarf with a mustache.
Oh, right.
It was
So
amazing.
that's your conscience
Yes.
behind,
Oh, it was
behind
so
the camera.
good. And
That's funny.
I was so pleased the first time I saw them as well.
Did you, P-Flex, when you make a character in game, do you make it look like you, or do you go with like a specific thing?
No, they're always
Like a
bald.
specific idea?
They're always bald.
You make them
So you
bald.
always pick balls,
Yeah,
right?
and if possible, I'll make them as tall and as wide as possible. Because I always think it's funny to see, like, you'll have a conversation with someone and there's like an 8-foot lad that's hugely fat with like a bald head just sort of glaring down at people. I always think that's funny. But if it's
That's
a game
your
I,
image
if
of
it's a
what
game
you
I,
wanna be.
right, if it's a game I take seriously like Baldur's Gate 3, I'll try to make them look like kind of cool, like aspirationally cool, like the way I would like to look. But always bald. Always, 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 always.
I don't
Just
really
stay
make
true.
characters after myself, and also not interested in me being in a game. You know what I mean? Like
I try to get immersed. That's fair enough.
I like to have like a character that I can pretend to be, if you like, you know, like rather than just be myself.
Well, of course. I think that's a different one. Like, how do you feel, P-Flex, about like scars or like tattoos?
I'm not a tattoo or scar haver, really. I've got an appendix scar, that's it. But, you know, I'm not a scar haver. So
Right.
I just
I don't
kind of
think that's
feel...
an option on
no,
much character
appendix
creation.
scar. So, I mean, sometimes I'll add one. You know, it depends on the character I'm playing. Like, if I'm playing, like, some kind of barbarian type, then sure. But I don't really go in for that. I just go for a pretty default lad.
You gotta have
just
like the
bald.
Braveheart paint, face paint
Right.
for barbarians and stuff now.
Exactly,
too, right?
yeah. Wound.
Yes.
Alright, let's move on to the next email anyway. This is,
Sure.
This is
No,
from
that's really
Evan.
interesting. I'm exactly the same though. Like, you know,
Yeah.
recently my characters have had a moustache. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Just because I've got one.
Yeah, of
It's like,
course.
okay, it's just
It
funny that
makes
I
you
can
more
make
attached
it
to the
maybe
story.
like a hot version of me.
I honestly,
That's
for
another thing.
the most part, my characters will be female, and I still subscribe to the idea, like in WoW. If you're looking at the back of a character, I just want to look at some ass, you know, like
For 9 hours.
Yeah, I don't want to look at some dude's
cartoon
ass.
ass.
Yeah, I'll look
Isn't
at.
that like you're ogling yourself though? There, that's fine.
That's fine.
Right, anyway,
This is from Evan. This is the story of how his dad poisoned himself, but it ended up saving his dad's life.
Oh,
One day, my dad was doing some power washing outside. They're relevant to The Sims.
Yeah.
Interesting. He was using highly concentrated power washing liquid and pouring it into his machine. The bottle somehow cracked and started leaking power wash concentrate everywhere. He grabbed the nearest container to catch the liquid. It was a green-colored Perrier water bottle. So he got it in there and continued washing. Now, at some point, the bottle made its way to the patio. Someone must have brought it into the house, and somehow it ended up in the fridge. A few weeks
No
later,
way.
his mum and dad are having breakfast outside the patio. Dad walks inside to grab something to drink, gets the bottle, takes a big glug, and you can imagine what happened next. He immediately realised what was happening and what he'd just done. He felt his throat was closing up and he could hardly breathe. He managed to get to the ER, they got him intubated and got him on a ventilator. Took a couple of months for him to fully recover. He's perfectly fine now. This was about 4 years ago.
Right.
This is the crazy part. During his time in the hospital, they had to run all their tests and stuff. They found a cancerous tumour on his pancreas. Because it was discovered so early on, they got rid of it. No problems, and he's absolutely fine. So, obviously, do not use unlabeled containers for dangerous chemicals.
No.
That is absolutely
Yeah.
true. And the stupid mistake, but it did work and saved his life. So,
His
I mean,
favor,
he got lucky, but
Holy
honestly,
shit.
I've got a bottle of isopropyl alcohol. You can get it on Amazon. Big sort of. It's like a very cheap, but very potent chemical. It's just like 100% proof alcohol, basically.
yeah, basically it comes in like a San Pellegrino bottle.
Yes, it comes in a novelty Coca-Cola bottle.
Yeah, that's just how it comes.
Yeah.
No, but it's like a really plain, boring plastic bottle that you wouldn't know what was in it. So I've drawn with a Sharpie skulls and crossbones all over it, so that I know don't drink this, and that the kids see it and think, oh gosh, that looks dangerous. But I recommend, if you have young children, get this. It will remove marker pens, it will take crayon, it will lift off stickers, anything involving adhesive or that sticks to another surface. Get a little bit on a bit of cotton or a makeup removal pad, gone.
But it'll take the chrome right off your hit.
It will. It really will.
It'll melt all of your pop can tags.
But yeah, acetone is the other one that I used to use for cleaning. That's like nail varnish remover. You got to be careful with these though, because sometimes you can like take the surface of the thing off.
Yeah, oh no, you got to be careful. All right, so this is someone who's worked. This is from Kay, who has worked in U.S. healthcare for a long time. We were talking about crazy baby names in a previous episode.
Right.
I've got two name emails. This one, an infant patient whose name was L.A. I didn't know how to pronounce her name, and after pronouncing it incorrectly as Leia, the mother very snottily informed me that it's pronounced. See if you can guess how it's pronounced.
It's Ladasha.
It is Ladasha. You pronounced the dash. Yeah, it looked at me as if it was obvious.
Ladasha.
Ladasha.
Imagine she becomes a DoorDash delivery person. when
DoorDash, Ladasha.
Yeah.
Ladasha, the Dasha.
We gotta get Ladasha in.
I think this is a pretty famous urban myth, the Ladasha. I don't know if this is a real email, because I remember this being I've just googled it and it's like a Snopes article, and it's not real.
Oh, have you lied to me?
I'm sure I heard this about 10 years ago.
Lewis is fact checking like the guy from Pointless. What's his name again?
Yeah, I just remember this being a classic urban myth.
Well, alright, how about this one then? This is from Brendan. Had a high school teacher called Mr. Con Cannon, who they renamed to Mr. Cum Cannon.
Nice. Nice. As you do.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
This is Mr. Cum Cannon.
That would be such a good online nickname for when you're getting people banned in CSGO as well.
You were
that's
banned
a great. That's what your
you
wife
have accidentally team killed Cum Cannon.
My wife calls me Cum Cannon. Not anymore. I had the snip, remember? So,
well, I mean,
stuff still
Mr.
comes out.
Cum Cannon, come here.
It's the same. You won't know. Alright, this is from a cemetery worker. A day in the life of a cemetery worker. We asked about this.
I feel like it's like a kind of a gardening job, right? Like it feels like it's like a lawn care, gardening kind of maintenance job with some other little bits and pieces thrown in. You know, like.
Well, let's find out. I work as a secretary for a cemetery trust, so not the gardening.
Oh, okay.
I've worked in this position for over a year. Some people may find it morbid and weird. I find it fascinating. The ending to this email gives you a clue as to the kind of person that works in cemeteries. When I get to this bit, you'll think, God, that's dark. Anyway, get this. I often get questions about, do I see bodies or do I cremate people? No, I don't do that. That's a funeral director's job. I do a lot of paperwork regarding the authorization of a burial, who has the right to the plot, sell plots to people who want to reserve a plot in the cemetery, do the accounting and all that kind of stuff. Books, funerals, does the grave digging with the contractor for the digging. On the day of the funeral, they have to check the coffin nameplate of the deceased and then move away to make sure the coffin is buried, like lower it into the ground, everything's okay, so all the rest of it.
Yeah.
You gotta like sell the plots. You gotta go for the hard sell sometimes.
Yeah,
we got 5 wind plots left. You can expect about 63% sun during the day on these plots, and really nice view of the church building and the field in the back.
And this ground is consecrated. You won't get any people rising from the dead here. This is consecrated ground. Let me just finish this one story. This is the kind of person, in my opinion, that works in death care.
Right.
The cemetery had one burial in the 90s where a young lad was in a car accident. Apparently he survived the initial crash, but when the fire brigade arrived at the scene, they ran him over, killing him. Brackets.
Hell.
I do get a chuckle out of this, but also it is sad.
That's crazy.
So that is so dark, and this guy's like, the fire brigade ran over him. I think you've got to be just a kind of a dark person to work in a cemetery.
Man, how are you feeling if you're the guy driving the fire truck that day and you've done that? That's got to be.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean, I just think that story is just incredibly depressing, but this guy gets a chuckle out of it. I think that's the kind of person who works in death care, I guess, finds humor in any situation.
Yeah, you have to, don't you? The gallows humor, for sure.
Like if you're driving an ambulance and you drive it too fast over a bump, and then the person in the back goes flying and like goes up through the roof and then outside, you know.
This is GTA shit.
It's GTA shit right there. Yeah.
Do you have a reserved plot or a plan for if you died, where you would go? Do you know where you would go?
No, I have life insurance. That's about it.
I've got the life insurance, but I mean, I haven't started planning about where I
If you
want
died
to go.
today, where would they put you?
I would like to be cremated and scattered at sea.
I would like to be cremated, and I honestly don't give a shit what they do with me post that. Sprinkle me on some watermelon or something. I don't give a shit.
Okay, sure.
I mean, I think about death a lot. When I did a podcast with Dr. K a while back, the Healthy Gamer, and talked to him about how I fear death.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, it happens to everybody, so don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, Doc.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think it's just imagining nothing is impossible. Like we can't as humans imagine that. But the way I've had it put to me is that you can imagine life before you were born. So it's just like that, but after you've died. So
I guess,
you know, just imagine you not existing.
I always feel like it's just like, you know, when you're super tired and you just fall asleep randomly, but like you're out cold sort of thing. It's gotta just be like that, right?
So
one minute you're there, the next minute you're not. And hopefully, when you
imagine darkness. When we think of death and nothingness, we think of darkness, but it's not even that. It's the absence of anything.
Well, that's it. But people are imagining the thing. I think they're scared of is they're imagining darkness, but they're imagining being conscious for that darkness. But it's obviously not. You just don't exist anymore.
But that's terrifying to me.
It's terrifying to think that, you know, the people that you love and stuff, and the effect that it would have on them, and you won't get to see people again and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you are just non-existent anymore. So like you'll never feel that pain beyond while you're alive.
Yeah, they say all fear comes down to a fear of the unknown, right? Like not necessarily knowing what will happen or what is there, you know, and I think that, you know, it's understandable when you've got a complicated life full of people that you care about, that you would worry about them after you're gone. Yeah. But I think that from my point of view, you know, I think it always comes back to the idea of, well, there was nothing before, right? There was nothing before. Yeah. I was nothing before I was born, and I will go back to being that.
Right. But it's scary.
It's scary. It's not like I'm owed anything else. Do you know what I mean? Or
I just fear it. I mean, you know what? I think there is definitely all fear is fear of the unknown. I don't know if that's true, because I know what would happen to me if I got attacked by a deer, and I'm scared of it, even though I can imagine that the deer would, of course, beat me in a fight. To go back to an old mailbag story that I still get mails about, saying that
this is if the deer was actually interested in having a fight.
We've stipulated
they are flighty.
They are, but this one's going to fight for the dead. Talking of animals, I was trying to segue neatly into this next email.
Right.
This is an interesting title: Horse versus Car. Brackets, not clickbait.
Right.
And I didn't think it was clickbait with the title Horse versus Car, but sure. Hi, my name is Max, and if a magical genie appeared in front of you and offered you... high-end car that never broke down. But sure. Hi, my name is Max, and if a magical genie appeared in front of you and offered you the following, which would you choose and why? This is a really weird question.
Oh, right.
A moderately high-end car that never broke down and needed gas or servicing. The ability to summon a tame, immortal horse with the snap of your fingers, like in Elden Ring or The Witcher. That's it.
The few times I've ridden a horse in my life, I've had exceptionally sore balls following. So I'll take the car any day of the week.
Yeah, I'll take the car.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't need no fucking Elden Ring horse.
No.
I don't need no weird immortal god horse.
Hell no.
It's weird. Everyone would say this is the horse guy. And the horse would
You
overshadow
would still
your
feel like
personality.
you wanted to like feed it and take care of it, even though you would not have to. You know.
Who's going for the horse?
If it's immortal,
Not me.
like you could really just neglect it a lot.
Write in if you pick the horse. I don't want to have to look after that horse.
Nah.
Yeah, like I'd feel
I wouldn't
bad.
even look after the car.
It's a
honestly.
slave. It's an
But
sentient
no, so
being.
you just snap your fingers and off it goes, like in The Witcher. You
Oh,
just
right.
Go, you like, you know, or like
Shadowfax,
like in
go to bed. Like,
Right.
snap your finger, he's gone.
Are your eyes overstimulated? Relax and protect them with Essilor Eyes and Lenses. Switch to Essilor Eyes and Lenses and find your local Essilor expert at essilor.com.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around a lot to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
Before we carry on, using the internet without ExpressVPN. It's like walking your dog in public without securing them on a leash.
That doesn't sound safe.
They're gonna
No.
poop everywhere. It's a
Well,
nightmare.
exactly. Like, what if one day your dog runs away?
Or snagged by the NSA and interrogated to find out all of your secrets that your dog, in this instance, actually knows.
Because your dog is your computer.
Exactly.
It's better to be careful, especially when it's so simple, like using ExpressVPN. Every time you connect to an unencrypted network, cafes, hotels, or airports, your online data is not secured. Any hacker on the same network can gain access to and steal your personal data. But ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet, so they can't. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer 1 billion years to get through ExpressVPN's encryption.
Good lord.
ExpressVPN works on all devices, phone, laptop, tablet, on your smart TV, put it on your router, and it's very easy to use. You just fire up the app, click one button to get protected. I use ExpressVPN, put it on my computer, on my phone. I recommend you do too. It makes me feel safer online, and it's really easy. You just forget about it once it's going. So please get yourself an extra 3 months free of ExpressVPN at expressvpn.com/Triforce. That's expressvpn.com/Triforce. Thank you very much.
On with the show.
Alright, so someone sent me a script. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not good, but I thought it would be fun.
Don't read
for
it
us
if
to
it's
read.
not good. I don't want to hear
No,
that.
no, no. You don't want to read this?
Well,
Fuck. Alright,
Alright.
fine, let's do it.
No,
let's
you
do
don't
it.
have to. You guys
No,
are
I
going
want
to
to
read
do
out
it.
the characters.
Is this being written by AI?
No, this is
I
some
can
live.
write my own bad scripts. I mean, I don't need somebody else to write a bad script for me.
This is his practice for his film course in uni.
Oh, right. Okay.
Alright.
Alright, I've got it open.
How long is
There's
it?
2 characters.
It's
Chuck
3 pages. I'd say,
Calvin.
as scripts go, it is far too much stage direction. It's a huge amount of stage direction.
Okay, so one of us can be the narrator, one of us will be Chuck.
I'll be the
One of us will
narrator.
be
Alright.
Calvin.
I'll be
But these are clearly American, Sid, so
Yeah.
it'd be nice if you did one of the voices.
Well, I can't do an American voice.
It's close enough.
Your voice is.
Just chucking the hoots and boots out like all the time.
That's fine.
And
Chuck,
swords.
That's
Chuck,
fine.
in this story, Chuck is a Canadian cowboy who's travelled down from north and now
I don't want to be Chuck.
Alright, meet Calvin then.
All right.
He's Calvin.
Alright, I'll do the narrator.
Alright.
Interior tavern back room. Night.
You don't have to read those bits. That's not the.
Yeah, you do. That's
Oh.
how people know where we are.
All right. Okay.
We open in a lively Wild West saloon. It is loud and filled with people dancing, singing, and chatting loudly and indistinctly amongst themselves. There is a piano being played in the corner. We travel through this scene towards a secure steel door at the back of the room with a slider that can be opened to see through. As we get nearer, the man opens the door and walks out shaking his head. He is looking annoyed, but with a hint of worry. clearly, he's eager to leave. Traveling through the open door, we reveal a dimly lit room with a table in the middle, a poker game. There are 5 people around the table. Calvin Meeks, he puts his cards on the table, grinning, knowing that he has just won a big pot of money, and he goes to scrape the poker chips towards him before the man opposite him, Chuck Hobbs, slams his fist into the table.
God damn you, you cheated. I know you did. You ain't gonna get away with this, Calvin.
Chuck leaps up from the chair and rushes over to Calvin, throwing him off of his chair and onto the ground. The other men jump up from their chairs, taken off guard. Chuck lands one punch on Calvin before being hauled off him by the others.
Get that stupid son of a bitch off me, I didn't do nothing.
You know what you did. You been stealing from us all evening. I don't know how you did it, but I know a cheat when I see one.
You don't know shit, Chuck Hobbs. You're as dumb as dirt. I heard people saying about you that if your brains were leather, you wouldn't even saddle a flea.
Shut your mouth, Calvin Meeks. I'm gonna get you for this.
Chuck, enraged, struggles against the people holding him back and tries to get at Calvin. Failing to do this, he spits on the ground in front of Calvin.
How about we settle this right here, right now? I take my revolver here, I remove all the bullets except one, then I spin the chamber so we don't know where the bullet is. Then we're gonna take turns putting it to our heads and pulling the trigger, and whoever survives wins.
And how do I know you ain't gonna cheat?
Can't cheat a bullet in the head.
Okay, you got yourself a deal.
Who's gonna be bystander number
Lewis,
one?
obviously.
Oh, now hold on, fellas. Why don't we settle this down and talk it out instead?
No, we're settling this right now. No, yeah.
Calvin and Chuck are let go by the other people in the room, return to their seats, and the others watch as Calvin takes his revolver out and removes all of the bullets except one, then spins the chamber, allowing it to stop before pushing the chamber back in. The revolver has 6 cylinders, and we can see that the bullet has landed in the cylinder at the bottom.
Now, do you want to go first, or should I?
Since you ain't enough of a man to offer up yourself, I think I'll go first.
The room is deadly silent as Chuck takes the revolver to the side of his head. The only sound we hear is the clicking of metal as Chuck cocks the hammer of the revolver, turning the chamber, readying the weapon to fire. He takes a deep breath before scrunching his eyes closed and pulling the trigger. Click. Chuck opens his eyes and exhales, throwing the revolver onto the table.
Woo, that's what I'm talking about. Feeling nervous, Calvin?
This
Chuck
is the
smiles.
longest piece of stage direction ever.
Sorry, alright, I'm gonna skip some of this. Calvin takes the revolver, rotating the next cylinder into place, and pulls the trigger. Click. Calvin opens his eyes and exhales, throwing the revolver onto the table, and Chuck suddenly looks far more worried and concerned as he reaches for it. Chuck places the revolver to the side of his head. Moments before he pulls the trigger, he thinks he sees a small smile creep onto Calvin's face, but it's too late, and he pulls the trigger. Bang! A bullet pierces Chuck's skull, and his brains fly out the other side, his lifeless body falling as Calvin stands up to leave, taking his money and his revolver with him. Calvin walks out into the noisy saloon and sees that everyone inside is none the wiser to the events behind the steel door. One of the men from inside follows him out. I saw that smile on your face before he pulled that trigger. You knew he was gonna die, didn't you?
Of course I did. If your revolver is as pristine and well-oiled as mine, no matter how many times you spin it with the bullet inside, the bullet will always end up at the bottom because it's heavier. So as long as I let him go first, which he so graciously offered to do, I know I have nothing to worry about.
Well, I'll be damned.
Oh, dear.
It's like a bodega.
It is a bodega, yeah.
It really
was
It's a
one.
Good
bodega.
heavens.
Oh, God.
We could fix that. We really could fix that. It needs a little work.
It needs a little work, but I like the premise, of course, at the end of that greased-up revolver. That's the well-maintained spinning.
The problem is, if you have to explain it that much, like, it's like,
Well, of course, you expect Calvin to like push his glasses up on the bridge of his nose to explain how he won. It just kind of sucks the cowboy out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you see, as the weapon is oil, sells so effectively, blah, blah, blah. Just gets a bit silly.
Yes. Well, I think he's only got this. It's only a little throwaway.
Yeah, it's just
but you
someone
gotta-
has a little
I
assignment.
reckon.
It wouldn't work without that little explanation, that little spin, you know, that
But
little
then you need
reason.
to find an elegant way to describe it. If he just
But I
literally
like-
describes it, it's too expositionary. Would be my.
Yes, yeah. But what are your choices? You know.
Where can you go
I guess
from there?
I liked it. Thank you.
There you
That's
go.
fun.
Thank
It was pretty good. It's better than I could ever do anyway.
Send us in more of your scripts, not AI generated, please.
People send in scripts.
You can tell it's not AI generated because it had that little gimmick at the end.
Yeah. I don't know. An AI could come up with that. I think an
I don't know
AI
if it
could
would.
come up with that.
I think that's like a signal that it's like AI's too generic.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't come up with like those little clever twists and clever solutions.
True. All right, this is from Jake. We were talking about prices of pints. We talked about
Yes.
it a fair bit over the years.
Yeah.
You mentioned someone paying £9 for a pint. So this lad in Brighton lived here his whole life. The pint prices are even ridiculous down in Brighton. Paid £7.90 for a pint of beer. Not only is that insane, but it was in a plastic cup.
Oh, that's
This
fucking
pub is
stupid.
one I used to go to all the time, but it's since been overrun by students, and they don't even do student prices. Even the Guinness, which is just shy of £7, came in a plastic glass, which is a disgrace.
Yeah.
Some pubs in central London aren't charging the prices we got down here. That is true. You don't have
That's
to pay
stupid.
those prices.
Doesn't
in
make
London.
any sense.
So this is who they blame. I blame Mr. Lyon. Brighton residents will know who I'm talking about. From what I gather, he owns a lot of pubs and businesses in Brighton. He's known for being driven around by a paid driver in his fancy Bentley GT or other silly luxury cars. He even has a number plate that says Mr. Lyon.
Right.
I don't know why I'm blaming him, but it feels like he's got something to do with it. Smarmy git. Last little question. What do we think about Guinness, and what's our opinion on Brighton?
I've never had a Guinness before. I'm aware of what they are. I've just never felt compelled to even try one. So I've just never had one.
I've had Guinness before. I think generally speaking, if I'm in the mood for something like that, like a nice slow pint that you can sip at, I'll have a Guinness. Good Guinness is good. Bad Guinness is terrible. Like I can't drink it from cans and stuff like that. It just tastes awful. But a good pub with a good Guinness. But I can only ever have one. I'm not someone who can like sit there and drink Guinness.
Pound
with
it back.
people who can.
Yeah.
I just have like one Guinness and then it's like that's enough.
I'm just not a very big drinker, honestly. Like, if I go out, I'll have a beer or, I'll have a couple of ciders, but I don't go like crazy, like.
I guess I've never really understood why I would order a Guinness. Like, I've never had like enough of a motivation. I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Either. Like, it's just, I guess I have tasted Guinness, I've drunk Guinness, but usually it's of someone else's pint,
I don't even really order, when I order beer, I don't even order it by name. I just say, like, oh, can I just have a pint? And then they just give me something. Like, I
Is it
don't.
supposed to be like an extra smooth or something, like a John
Guinness?
Smith's or something? Yeah.
It is like, as I understand it, until you've had Guinness, if you have Guinness in Ireland, it'll ruin Guinness for you outside Ireland. That's just the way it is. It's better there.
Well, that's the same with many things.
Well, indeed. So it's meant to be much better there, but it's very smooth. It's quite hearty, and it's not something that you would sort of down. So it's a perfect sipping pint, I would say. Sort of thing you'd have if you want to go for a couple of pints. You maybe don't want to get bladdered. You just want to sit for a couple of hours and watch a game or chat with your mate or something. Guinness is a reasonable choice because it's quite hearty. You don't need to bosh it down.
No.
Whereas with something like cider or lager, I feel like you can just slam them down pretty quickly without even realizing it. And it's 2:30 and you're pissed all of a sudden.
Oh man, I find that especially in Germany, like their beer goes down real smooth.
Oh, yeah.
You're just slamming them back, no problem,
Indeed.
and then you're shit faced before you know it.
So yeah, not a big Guinness
No.
boy.
This is someone who had a colleague who was a conspiracy theorist. These are the things that they believe.
Right.
This is a long list. Some of these I hadn't heard, and some of them are pretty incredible. The Earth is flat, covered by a glass dome, surrounded by an ice wall. We're talking vanilla conspiracy theory right there. Okay. McDonald's and other fast food chains are matrix food, and they use adenochrome, a substance only found in terrified babies and children. And when you consume it, it keeps you young. I don't know why they put it in McDonald's, but apparently they do. Babies and children are, of course, being kidnapped at large by the elites to farm their adrenochrome and their blood.
Right.
Which we discussed Blood Boys, where apparently people use the blood of the young.
This is totally sounds like a real thing that people would do, though, and genuinely, like, the billionaires are doing this. I'm on board with this conspiracy theory.
Okay, but they're putting it in McDonald's, you think?
Yeah, they're trying to.
I don't think it's in McDonald's. I know kids
It's in Wendy's.
do love McDonald's, but I don't think they
And only
like
at
it because
surge
it's
time.
keeping them young.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's kind of the reverse, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you'd imagine that McDonald's was sucking the adrenochrome out of kids.
Well, yeah. It's evil to let your children believe in Santa, because Santa is an anagram of Satan, and Santa was a paedophile. That's part 2 of that conspiracy.
Right.
Any famous person ever to exist is a paedophile, proven or not. And as the emailer says, one of the less outlandish beliefs, which is true.
Okay.
Church bells have healing properties due to their frequency, but the government wants to keep us sick. That's why you don't hear bells anymore, which is a weird one, because as they point out, I hear church bells all the time.
Yeah,
All
same.
the fucking
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Me too, yeah.
They
And it
believe-
drives me crazy,
Right.
actually. I think they do, like, bell ringing practice, or, like, you can pay to go
Yeah.
do bell ringing there. And so all Saturday is just discordant nonsense from across the road. Drives
This
me
is,
mad.
they believe in chemtrails, they believe that smart meters make you sick, and the effect they have is exponentially worse the older you are. Whatever.
Smart meters make you
Yeah.
sick. What, the ones that, like,
Yeah.
you attach to your thing to... I mean,
Measure
they
how
do
much
make
electricity
you,
you're
they
using.
probably make you mentally ill. Like, the dads who've got them installed are like, oh my god,
Turn
look
those
how much
lights off."
electricity we're using. Turn off that Nintendo Switch, you little bastard.
Exactly. They drank bleach to cure their cold. They take ivermectin to kill the parasites that live in their joints.
Right.
They believe
Well,
electricity...
ivermectin is an anti-parasitic.
Well, ivermectin is used to kill specific parasites, I
Right.
think, that you can catch in... Is it river water? There's some kind of... I mean, ivermectin is a real drug.
Yeah, it's like a
And it does have a real
it's like a
use.
deworming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't use it to kill the bugs that live in your joints, I don't think. Thinks electricity isn't carried by wires and is just free floating in the air, so therefore we don't need to pay bills. The word
What does that even
Who
mean?
knows? They think the world is ending every year, and then when it doesn't happen, they have some excuse. They also think that we live in a simulation, and that, of course, the COVID vaccine alters your DNA and implants a microchip. So there you go. That's a pretty interesting list. Imagine walking around all day thinking all this stuff. It'd be pretty nuts.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a fun existence. It
No,
sounds.
it doesn't.
It actually just sounds like somebody who is hell bent on sucking the fun out of everything.
Yeah.
At any cost. Like it's.
It is again like this fear of the unknown. The future is unknown, right? And I think that people worry that the world is fragile because we're constantly told, like, oh, you know, if a solar flare happens, all the electricity will go away, and everyone
that voice
will
too,
have to
yeah.
eat their own shit. It's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, there's always these apocalyptic ideas, right, floating around, and there's so many of them because they make gripping news. You know, asteroids, volcanoes. I mean, they were 20 years ago, but you know, the Cold War before that. You know, nuclear war, nuclear Armageddon. It's all of this is still in the back of everyone's mind. There's so many ways that you know, if it's not that, it's a virus taking down the internet. You know, how we can do stuff.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of paranoid.
It's a
very
weird
easy to
mentality
believe.
though to truly believe that all of these horrible things are going to happen, and then not really make the most of it while things are still, you know, good. If
It's
you
true.
like.
You'd think that you know
you
exactly.
would go out and you'd be like, holy shit! If this is happening this year, man, I gotta go out and sniff some flowers, and I gotta go try that. Yeah, I gotta start crossing stuff off my bucket list and stuff. Not sit around and think of even more miserable shit that you can get
You're
depressed
exactly
about.
right. It's completely ass backwards.
Yeah,
the way
they genuinely
go
believe
about
this
it.
stuff. You know, why don't they just give all their shit away if the world's going to end?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Just give it all away.
Yeah.
Give it all away. The world's going to end anyway. What do you
It's
care?
just like,
Go on.
I don't know, like I don't understand. I'm not a psychologist. I don't understand the psychology behind it, but it has to be rooted in some, weird form of mental illness, right? Like this obsession.
I think
with...
humans are prone to it, though. I think we've always been prone to this idea. This, in the same way we like to collect things. I think there's lots of things that were helpful for us as to survive in the early days. Be very paranoid, be very scared, be very like not diving into an unknown pool of water. I don't know, like, you know, the stuff that kept us alive is in our genes, in our DNA.
So,
like...
so here's the question. If it is a mental illness, it's the most widespread mental illness that has only really appeared in this volume in the last, say, 10 years, right? I mean, there have always been a few conspiracy theories. There was like JFK was an inside job, and there have been a couple of others. But there seems to be an awful lot more. I'd say the last 10 or 15 years in particular. And what has happened? The vast spread of information on the internet into everybody's everyday life. Now, I've said before, I think the main reason that people believe this crap is because they're deeply confused about the world. They're quite ignorant people, but their ego refuses to allow them to accept, I'm just not that smart. So they have all this misinformation. They absorb that easily because it's bollocks. And they're like, oh, I'm actually smart because I know all this stuff, and you guys don't because you're sheeple and you just are idiots.
I know, but
it's a combination of information that people don't understand that is widely available, like the fact the Earth is fucking round and how we know that, and their massive ego that means that they cannot possibly be stupid because they're constantly told they're not stupid by other idiots.
Yeah.
Well, I also think so often people say, I've done my research.
Right.
And when they say that, they mean they've watched a YouTuber
Or
video
even
by
worse,
someone
they
who
just
makes a
read
living,
some shit on
who makes a
Facebook.
living
Right.
off scamming you. Like, those YouTube channels actually get paid. They don't believe the shit they're peddling in the same way that these pastors, these super churches, don't believe in any of their shit
don't.
either. If they did, they wouldn't have fucking Ferraris or private jets.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's the ultimate cynicism, but then you've done your research, which means you've just put your trust in someone who is scamming you.
Yeah.
Like, it always shocks me.
It's amazing as well, I think, because these people make out like the truth is out there and how foolish we are not to have believed it. But they believed some unresearched bollocks, some obviously fake bollocks that is easily debunked. Because they saw a meme on Facebook, or they watched a video, and they believed it, and apparently we're the gullible ones. But again, like I said, it's their ego.
I don't know how they
them
set themselves
to be
apart
gullible.
from everybody else when the only thing that they do different is believe nonsense that they read on something that's accessible by billions of people. Like it's not some private information trove that they're accessing that only they have access to or whatever. And then for the most part they're just still living the same lives as everybody else. They're still consuming, they're still going to work, they're still, you know what I mean, like they're still doing all the same shit. It's not like, you know, these people aren't migrating off grid en masse and really sticking it to everybody. Like it's just laughable. It's just they're time wasters, massive time wasters. Like they're not even worth talking to. It's just a complete waste of time.
And on that note, let's move on to the final email, which is hopefully going to set up time wasters.
All of the people.
They're time wasters.
Literally what this podcast is and what the emails are.
No, but I mean, there's degrees of it, though. Holy crap. There are degrees of it.
There's time spent, doing something that you enjoy, and then there's this shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, this is clearly time wasted. Anyway, this is from someone who wishes to remain anonymous. This is a very, very old callback. And, Lewis, this is up to you whether you want to proceed with this or not, okay? Big fan, been listening since day one. Finally have something worth emailing in for. I'm Bristol-based. I was re-listening to an old episode where Lewis mentioned his trainer by name. Turns out, my housemate is good friends with one of the coaches at Lewis's old gym.
No.
This gave me the idea that I could ask, through my weak ties, to answer a few questions about Lewis, like, does he remember him? Has the therapy been successful to get over this traumatic time? My first thought was that he wouldn't remember Lewis, but I thought he wouldn't forget a client constantly accusing you of having gay sex and how many cocks he's sucked. So I figured the odds are good he'll not have forgotten. Ultimately, I understand this would be a very weird thing to do and it probably wouldn't go anywhere, so I leave it up to you. Should I bother this fitness professional to get his side of the story, or leave him in peace? What do you think?
Okay. Well, for a start, you got to understand that a lot of stories we tell on this podcast are not necessarily exaggerated in comic effect, but
made up.
like cherry picked.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, we had a lot of very normal conversations and other stuff as well as these funny things that happened. But I don't think you should ever stalk people from the podcast.
Agreed.
Or try and find them in real life or ask them about this stuff. You can, but my advice would be to not. And I think over time, certainly I'm trying to anonymize the interactions that I have with people. Like when we were talking about the bands I'd seen at the weekend. If you wanted to, you could look at the Simple Things festival lineup for Bristol 2024 and find out who I was talking about, right? Probably quite easily. But I'm not gonna. I wouldn't advise it, right? And I don't want people coming. I don't want the. Getting back to this band that Lewis thought they were shit or whatever.
Right.
I mean, that's not going to help anyone, is it?
Yeah.
And I don't think talking to my personal trainer from 7 years ago about if he was weirded out by a weirdo on the internet is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But you do you.
No, you can't. You do you it. I think you made a good point.
Yeah.
We should definitely not do it. Just accept that this podcast exists in a little bubble.
Yeah.
Where we talk bollocks, you guys listen, and sometimes you email in and tell us, facts and stuff like that. Or in the mailbag, you give us interesting stories. We don't need to do any work outside of that. We don't need to go and do any special investigations. We don't need to follow-ups. It is what it is. Let's just leave it to die here, or rather than trickle into the real world. I think that's going to be our mantra henceforth.
Let it die here.
So no, please do not contact this guy. Let this person live in peace. Not knowing that any of this stupid shit made it online, please.
Maybe he's very aware of it, and this episode is going to trigger it because he's like in a brace for having to speak to somebody about it again. He's only just gotten over it. He checks in every once in a while to make sure that he's not being mentioned and stuff. It's been years. Probably like I'm off the hook. They haven't mentioned me, and now all of a sudden the doors are open again. The investigation's been restarted. It's open.
Good lord.
Oh man.
All right. Well, that's our mailbag for this week. Give us some interesting stories.
What an amazing podcast.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's a really good one. Really
best.
good
Not at all a waste of time, unlike some other stuff that you could be listening to.
Yeah. Give us some stuff we haven't talked about before. Maybe instead of thinking about callbacks, you got an interesting story, send it in.
Yeah.
We don't have to ask for it. You got something interesting, send it in. One small request, I will make it again as I do every week. Please don't send me 3-page essays. They're not going to get read out. And remember, this podcast exists as an audio podcast. So sending me 30 images to go alongside it, that's not helpful.
It's not,
just write words that we can read.
An outro theme tune.
Outro theme tunes, keep it coming. Again, that's audio.
Music and stuff, if you send it to us and it's original music, it's not at all copied, you might hear it on here. It's possible. We have the technology, so.
Yeah, or your 3-page at most scripts.
Yes.
Preferably with slightly fewer stage directions or truncated stage
I think like
directions.
70% less narration.
Yes.
Okay.
There was just too much narration in that one.
Too much.
Yeah.
Well,
Too much.
Get to hear my voice more.
That's true. That is
That's
true.
the
That's
downside.
That is
yeah.
true. That is 100% true.
All right. Well, all right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Pickaxe.
Are your eyes overstimulated? Relax and protect them with Essilor Eyes and Lenses. Switch to Essilor Eyes and Lenses and find your local Essilor expert at essilor.com.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high quality bikes, which might lead to another discovery. Getting back in the saddle isn't always comfortable. Good news is Sierra has massage guns. And shave wipes too. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Let's start your success.
Can you? Thanks.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Triforce podcast. Today I'm joined by Sibs.
Hey, hi. How's everybody doing?
Good, it's nice to hear your voice, Sibs.
Yeah, thanks so much. Guess what I'm doing right now?
Sitting on the toilet.
No, I'm ordering some teats for my baby's bottles. Like
You're ordering teats.
Teats. Yeah, I gotta order some teats. She's around
With
by
who are you going with? Tommy Tippy or something?
No, Philips. All the time, baby.
Okay.
Philips Advent 6M Plus Superflow. Yeah.
Oh, are they the official one for the
Official sponsors of the 2015 Summer Olympics. So all the athletes can get the good flow from their milky mamas. Get their
Well,
big
you
muscles.
sell that. You need that growth hormone.
That's right. You gotta get it in there somehow.
I only use Philips teats. They're the best.
They are much easier to suckle on.
When you hear this, think of Philips.
Enormous
You
flow.
always trust Phillips for a very sucky teat.
The Prince Philip's company, Philip's Teats.
Yes, Phillips teats.
Ghastly teats.
Because those are the teats. Untrustworthy foreign teats. Good. Big fats. How are you?
Oh, absolutely fucking exhausted.
I bet, yeah. It's a lot of work.
I got here on the 23rd of February.
Wow.
And it's now the 8th of March. So we had the 24th, I don't think we did anything. And then from the 25th until today, we've had 1 day off. And it's been very, very long days. Very, very, very long days. Let me think. On average, I'd go in at about 4 p.m. and we would get back at about 2:30 in the morning.
Jeez.
And it's just been like long series and lots of sitting around watching boats. But quite honestly, I understand that you know this guy, is it Hassan? Is that his name? He's a streamer, I think his name is Hassan.
Sure, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so he did some stream where he was talking about how I don't want to get into I haven't looked beyond the basic clip that I saw, but he said something about how after streaming for a bunch of hours he was tired, and people were basically complaining and saying, oh, he's rich, there's no way he should complain, blah blah blah. I don't know any of the details about what really he said, but I saw people's responses. And generally it was, you've got a job that everyone else would want, so you should shut up and not complain. I don't think that was really fair, because it's still human to get tired. And even if this is a job that I love doing, it is still tiring doing this for like very long days and very late finishes. So I feel justified in not complaining, but grumbling about work.
I think it's because you think you shouldn't be allowed to grumble about it as well. Like, but there is a part of us which is like, I am very lucky to be doing
Of
this.
course.
And I think anyone who's doing a job that they're passionate about, they can get tired about it, and they can complain about it. They can grumble about being tired, because that's like the main thing humans grumble about.
Yeah.
So, oh, something of mine hurts, or I'm tired, or someone was mean to me. You know.
Yeah, I think it's so either way. The thing is, as a job, this isn't like if we're doing like a 10-hour shift or whatever, it's not like it's hard graft all the way. Like, I'm not spending 10 hours chipping coal out of an ore vein or whatever. It's like watching video games and then talking about them, and it's not like physically demanding or anything like that.
No.
And quite honestly, especially for my role, I don't even really need to like do any in-depth analysis and bring up stats and clips and stuff like that. I just go on there to be a sort of clown. But it is tiring to have to think of stuff to say, to improvise, to ad-lib sort of on the spot, to be on broadcast, and to try to be sort of up for that length of time. And sometimes the game is incredibly dull, and you have to go in there and talk about it, and then, you know, we want to try and entertain people and all the rest of it. And after 2 weeks of that, it is hard. Hard work, and it is generally mentally tiring. So last night we had the chance to finish on time, like 12-ish, and all we needed was this game to end. And the one team won because they're best of threes. One team won the first game, and then in the second game they're doing well, and the other team started coming back into it. And if the other team wins, it's now 1-1, and we have to go to a game 3, and it's not going to be an early finish. And we just all really felt like we deserved this early finish, because we had so many late nights.
And I love that you're rooting for the team based on how soon you can go home. That's such an old man.
I know, but we're like, oh, come on, wrap it up so we can go home. You know, we were sort of like that attitude. But this team was definitely going to win. Game and Gladiators had come back into the game. There's no way they lose this game. And one of the players made, I wouldn't even call it a mistake. It was like an act of God that he died. His hero died, and he had to buy back. And it was like a disaster. Changed the entire tempo of the game. And it was something so unbelievable. I've never seen it in Dota before. And everyone was like, what? So that happened, and it felt like we deserved a break, and we got it. So we got home, and we were like, oh, we just, you know, everyone was so wiped out. Because the night before, I woke up in the morning, I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I was so tired. My body was just broken. My sleep schedule was fucked. We were all exhausted. It was rough.
I want to say, like, you willed it to happen. Do you know what I mean? The energy of you guys in the room, like, somehow spiritually crossed over to him, and he was like, yeah, I just want to go to bed as well, maybe. They played so many games and knackered as well.
I think so. I think he had enough as well.
So it's just the finals left, is it?
Yeah, so we've got tomorrow and the day after. That's just 2 series. A best of 3 and a best of 3 on one day, a best of 3 and a best of 5 on the next day. So
it's a long event, eh?
Very. Like, it was. They normally do these things. You'll have like a
2
group
weeks.
stage. Yeah, literally 2 weeks. 2 weeks of
wild.
Dota every day, apart from like 2 days.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I totally know where you're coming from. I mean, when you're in a foreign place, you know, and it's not, you know, you don't have your mod cons from being at home. You know, you're in a hotel room, I assume, and it might be nice and everything, but at the same time, you're actually going out and staying out, by the sounds of it, for like 10 or 11 hours a day. And even when you're not on camera, you have to be, you're on, right? Because you're surrounded by people, and you're in a brightly lit stage, and you know, you know that in an X amount of time, when this game finishes, you're going to be on camera again. Like, it is immensely, like, draining. You know, I mean, I get tired, like, I always say, like, oh God, why am I so tired when all I've done is got a taxi to an airport, flown for 4 hours, and then got a taxi. Why am I tired after traveling?
I find the most tiring thing about being, like, you know, doing an event or being out in public or whatever is that I gotta, like, suck my gut in a lot more. Like, when I'm at home, it's just flopping out. I don't give a damn.
Right.
You know, I'm sitting there like the World of Warcraft guy at his desk, you know. But when I'm out, I gotta suck it in, you know.
Of course.
I got, you know, I got some street cred to maintain. Everybody thinks I've got, you know, a bitchin' 6-pack, and I do underneath all the fat. It's down there somewhere, but you know, I gotta suck it in big time.
And it's also you're around other people, right? So
It's not like when I'm at home. Obviously, when you're with your family and everything, you're way more relaxed. Whereas when you're around people, like these are people I've known for years, like colleagues and stuff like that. But there's, with the offices that we're at, you're going around, you're in someone's place of work. We've got like a green room, which is really nice this year, where we sort of chill out and watch the games and talk. But the games are like an hour long.
It's hard to it's hard when you're somewhere like that for 2 weeks, doing that every day, socializing a lot more than you're used to and stuff. It's hard to decompress as well every day.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where you just can't, and then I think that just gets more and more on top of you as time goes on. Probably easier to just do, like a 2-3 day event, but like 2 solid weeks that's a lot. I think that would make anyone tired.
Yeah. Well, it's been, I've never done the 2 weeks before. I've only ever come and done 1 week. Like normally for Dream League, it's a 2-week event, and I'll do the second week. Someone can't do the whole week, so I'll replace someone who could do 1 week, and I'll do the second week or whatever. So, but I've been here for the whole thing. I'm doing it again later this year with another event. So I just figured, while I can still do this stuff, I should do as much as I can. So I've kind of committed to do quite a lot of Dover stuff this year. So yeah.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah.
But you changing. You're regretting it now. That
deeply,
choice.
Deeply. No, I'm only kidding. No, I'm looking forward to it. But it is. God, I've forgotten how hard these long events are.
You've really thrown yourself in with both feet this year. Do you think that you should be going the other way? Do you think you should be taking more of like pushing to do the gardening? Pop down to the local village hall.
No, I'm not that old yet. I think once I get to 50, which is like 2 years away, right? Because I'm going to be 48 later this month. In 3 weeks' time, I'll be 48. So in another 2 years, I'll be 50. I'll be celebrating my 50th birthday. Being 50 and being on an esports panel, at that point, people might be like, this guy's too old. Let's get started. You know what I mean?
Yes, but
it's sort of a landmark.
I think you are like Patrick Stewart, kind of ageless. Right? People already think you're ancient. We're only 47, right?
Right.
When Patrick Stewart started doing Star Trek, I don't think he was in his. I think he was in his 40s, but not
Let's
his
have
late
a look.
40s.
Let's have a look.
And he's looked kind of that same age ever since,
So Star Trek Next Generation, first episode was 1987. Patrick Stewart was born in 1940, so he was 47.
Wow.
So he was my age.
What, when he started the Next Generation?
Yeah.
Make it so.
Make it so.
Exactly.
Make me old.
Engage.
So,
Yeah.
Make me old.
Make me old.
Did you watch? Did you watch?
Jenna Troy. Suck me off.
She was so hot.
Oh my god.
I watched Red Letter Media did a video where they sort of did a compilation of all the little mistakes in Star Trek Next Gen, but not the mistakes you would think. It was little production errors that I think now that the show is in HD are even more glaringly obvious. Because if you watch the original broadcast on a TV, it was all a bit fuzzy. Like SD back in the day, regular old telly, you couldn't really see shit. Like it was really pretty bad. Whereas now you can see every single detail. So watch the video. It's Red Letter Media. It's called like Blink. It's Star Trek Blunders or something.
Right.
And little things like actors put little marks down. Like the production put tiny marks down on the set for actors to hit. You can see little marks everywhere, little bits of tape, and they'll stand on it exactly like that's their mark. And you'll see old marks that have been left from previous scenes still there.
That's great.
Stains on all the carpets, literal big splat stains all
This
over
is
the
great.
carpets.
I love this stuff because once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
I really like when they take a show that was filmed in 16:9, like the old TV square, but then they've...
That's not 16, that was 4:3.
Sorry, 4:3, and then they've but they've obviously filmed it in. They can somehow, I don't know how, that they have it in 16:9, and you can see sometimes like camera people there and people holding lights, and just bits of the set where it cuts off. You know what I mean?
I think because they would have filmed it with the same cameras you use for film, and then you just edit it down to 4:3. Like I don't think you can film not in 16:9 if that's the format of the camera, I would assume. So I guess they're filming it as if it were for film, and they're just going, just take the middle bit. And so it's like, and they just cut it maybe. I can't imagine, because it would have been on film. It wouldn't have been digital back then. It would have been film, right? The 1987. So they would have had to use the same cameras. You wouldn't get a special camera for 4.3. You just use a...
God, it's so weird that, that you think that they would be using the original film.
Yeah, so they've got the film, so you can upscale it to HD because you just got the film. I mean,
the weird thing about TNG is that it doesn't look. It has such a unique look to it. The whole thing, the lighting, the sets, like the uniforms. It's so out of this world.
Yeah.
Right. You don't ever sort of. Well, I think you maybe do in some of the movies. You don't really see the actual real world, the real world, right? And so it sort of is fairly timeless. Like it's obviously fucking ancient now. It's like 30 years old.
Yeah, it's so old.
35 years old, right?
Yeah.
And so, but look at anything else from the 80s.
It looks like shit. It really does. A lot of TV in the 80s looks like shit. Something about Star Trek, they did a bloody good job. But something you won't be able to not see now if you go back and watch it. They used black paper to cover up reflections in the set from the lights on the camera. So they made this shiny set for the bridge, and the problem is it was all reflective. And you're shooting lights in it, and they'll reflect back, and you'll see movements and cameras and people in the reflection of the set. It's like they create a mirror, and they're trying to film opposite it. So they covered it up with just chunks of black cardboard and paper that they sort of taped to the set that were reflected. And when you look now, there's Worf going, "Captain, we're under attack," and behind him, it's just like a kid's collage of black paper covering all the reflective bits. You see the boom mic reflected in the fucking set all the time. People come in, doors that don't close properly, because obviously there were people just sliding them manually. So doors
doors are famous.
It's so
because
good.
they have these really fancy sliding doors in the show, but
it's just two lads pulling it.
Famously different.
Honestly, it is so funny. Watch the video. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching TNG recently. I watch it every now and then. It's more comforting, I think, because I used to come home on Tuesday nights and watch it after school. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's got that, and I think some people have the same thing with things like Buffy.
Mrs. M's favourite show, Buffy.
Of the time, yeah.
And Angel, which was an
Angel
or whatever. Yeah, Angel was a spin-off from Buffy.
David Montreal.
He was a vampire, but he was like a goody vampire.
Right.
And there was that guy Spike, who was very 90s. I don't think you'd get someone looking like him being in a TV show now.
Spike?
With spiky hair.
Yeah, he had spiky hair.
I don't know anyone who has spiky hair apart from anime characters.
What was it? Michael Hall, was that his name? The guy who was like, he was in the coffee adverts and then he was in Buffy. He was like a professor. I can't remember what his name.
Oh, yes. That's Michael Hall was Dexter. You're thinking of the other guy. Yes.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Worf.
No. Anthony Stewart Head.
Anthony Stewart Head, yes.
He did
Yes.
the coffee adverts, and then that, as far as I can tell. The Gold Blend couple, but the Nescafe blend
the
coffee.
coffee adverts?
Yes, for 6 years it was him in the Gold Blend adverts. He's a real smug prick in the adverts. Then he does Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and as soon as I saw him, I was like, I can't take this show seriously.
He's good in it though, actually.
I never watched like Buffy or Angel or any of those shows. I think it's maybe not the right demographic or whatever.
It wasn't for me either.
I remember
the original movie. Let me think. The original movie, didn't it have Donald Sutherland in?
I remember when I was a teenager, a lot of people that I hung around with in high school used to drop everything to watch new episodes of Beverly Hills 90210 as well, which I was never a fan of.
Never a fan.
Yeah.
Never a fan.
But I remember some of the people I hung out with, they loved it. I think they had like older brothers and sisters or whatever who watched it as well. Maybe that was part of the appeal. I don't know, but I just remember it being sought after. You know. So it was weird.
There's been a new series of Frasier. I haven't actually watched it, but it got me into watching the old ones, and I've watched back, like 10 seasons of Frasier.
It's the best. It's one of the best sitcoms ever made, and it's peak.
It is.
It was so good.
It's got real shocking episodes, but it is. But since late 90s, and it looks like shit, really, comparatively.
It wasn't even early 2000s. It was like early to mid 90s.
fucking car. You could tell they're in a studio every time. Like it's so cheaply made.
Yeah.
The whole
93.
thing.
Yeah.
93 till 2000.
I mean, I guess it's a lot like Friends is, and Friends often seems very cheaply made, right?
Yeah.
Like they are just basically in the apartment. There's
All the time,
occasionally
yeah.
another set, but it's almost entirely based on them chatting, bouncing around the apartment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Frasier, some of the episodes that sucked. If you remember Daphne, we've spoken about Frasier before on this podcast for sure, because I know we're big fans
I watch
of
it all the time, yeah.
The episodes where Daphne's family are involved, those suck. And the ones where, like, the whole thing with her being, oh, I'm a bit psychic, that kind of went off. They just pretended that never happened later on in the show. It's like, they didn't really know what to do with her character. I think early on they were like, she's the British sort of woman looking after Martin. Let's give her a funny little thing. She thinks she's psychic. And then after a couple of seasons, they were like, let's just pretend that never happened and just move on. And the whole focus of the show was like Frasier, but then the subplot was Niles loves Daphne, right? Like that was the big subplot, was that he's in love with Daphne, and it's like this unrequited obsession that he has. And Frasier knows that he's in love with Daphne, but at the moment that he gets it on with Daphne, the show goes to shit. It was like they just kind of forgot that was actually one of the best bits of it.
Yeah, well, I think it was this thing where it developed, though, right? You could tell it developed. Like originally it was just supposed to be, just a silly situation where this guy in his marriage has a crush on the hot housewife, and so there's lots of good jokes there, like where she's bending over and all this, and so many of them. And obviously David Hyde Pierce does a great job as like with physical comedy as well.
Him and Frasier, like Niles Frasier, one of my favourite sort of two characters when they're together. They're just brilliant. There are so many great in that show. I have very fond memories of it because I watched it when it was on TV when Mrs. F had left for work in the morning. It was just me and the baby. Like this is when we had our first. And in the morning we're just sitting around there before we go off to a playgroup, or I take it to the park or whatever. We're kind of chilling out, and they ran 2 episodes a morning in sequence, the entire series. I watched the whole thing.
I've done the same
there's
thing.
So much.
Yeah.
There's like 260 episodes.
Oh, it's insane.
It's
It's fun watching it in order though, and you get like, you're not waiting when it was airing. It was prime time. You had to wait. There was a new episode every week on a Thursday night at 9 o'clock or whatever. But watching it this way, you can get through it a lot quicker, and it's a lot more enjoyable. It's a bit like Seinfeld too. You can rewatch it in order.
I think that's because the quality is like generally it's high, but like sometimes it's not. So sometimes the episodes are a bit. There's a few stinkers in there.
There are some great ones though. I mean, the one where he's got the senator and the senator believes in aliens, and he gives a speech about his support for this politician, and then he has a conversation with him where he reveals that he's into aliens, and now he has to give the same speech, but now knowing that the guy's into aliens, it changes the entire tone of the speech. It's absolutely brilliant writing.
It's
so
really
good.
clever.
And he has to, like, his delivery changes, because obviously he now knows what the audience knows. So it's amazing how you can take the same piece of text, and once you change the context, the entire context of that text changes. If you haven't seen it, find it on YouTube. It is magic writing. It is so good.
Nice.
So, you know what I did this morning? I was looking up forgotten disasters.
Forgotten disasters.
Forgotten disasters.
Right.
Things that perhaps people aren't off the public radar.
Stuff that have just been long forgotten from a long time ago.
Yeah, just something that it happened like over 100 years ago, or sometimes even just like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Or sometimes even 30 years ago, and people have just kind of, it's just a thing that happened, and we've moved on.
Right.
But it's like some of these are so unbelievable that you just think, how the hell did I never know about this? There was a TikTok where there was a sort of list of these. So one of them was the Tenerife airport disaster, which was the worst aviation disaster in history.
Jeez.
You heard of it?
No?
Yes, I have. Well, I've been to Tenerife a few times, so I know about it, and it's quite famous actually.
I never heard of it.
Within the aviation.
Within the
I think
aviation.
it's one of the biggest like
So it's the deadliest in aviation history. 583 dead. 61 injured.
Christ.
This was 2 planes collided. This was on the runway they collided because one of them was on the runway and the other one thought they'd been cleared for takeoff and there was like a miscommunication. Comes herring on the runway, smacks into the other plane. Huge explosion. Like 60 people, 61 people survived.
2 747s collided. Oh.
Yeah.
So
$1977.
here's what I didn't realize. The reason that this happened, well, obviously was pilot error and all the rest of it, but the reason that those 2 planes had been diverted to a different airport in Tenerife was because of something called the Canary Islands Independence Movement.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There was a terrorist organization who wanted the separation of the Canary Islands. This is also something I had never heard of. This was their sort of, they didn't cause this attack directly, but indirectly, the airplanes had been diverted to Tenerife because of activity by this lot at an airport. They set off a bomb at an airport, didn't kill anyone, but it injured people. But people forget in the 70s there were so many terrorist organizations, including the Canary Islands Independence Movement. I just think you've got all these other armed factions and genuinely large terrorist group, and then these lads from the Canary Islands, which is like a tiny population base. See, independence for the Canary Islands. It's like, how many of you are there? 3 of us.
I think the Canary Islands is interesting because they are this. I go on holiday there. Well, I used to go on holiday there as a kid a few times, and it's a very common place for Brits to go on holiday because it's hot year round, right? It's basically just off the coast of Morocco, or actually it's off the coast of Western Sahara.
Yeah.
Which is a country in Africa which is
kind
of occupied by Morocco. It's not. It's a bit of a weird one. Anyway, there's nothing really in Western Sahara. It's just sand.
Yeah.
But a lot of the beaches, the expensive hotel beaches on the Canary Islands, they just ship over the sand from there. They just literally drive a boat over to Western Sahara, fill it up with sand, bring it back and dump it, and that's like a beautiful beach they now have outside their hotel. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, the Canary Islands it's a lovely place to go on holiday because you can guarantee sunshine. I'm actually going there in 2 weeks' time, and I went with O's in November.
Yeah, and her mum.
And her mother, which was fantastic. Had a lovely time.
I went there about 3 years ago with Mrs. F and the kids. It's really nice. It's a really lovely.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
The Islands of Eternal Spring, they're called. It's always and just nice. I think it's actually called Canary Islands. The word canary comes from canary ass, like dogs, I think.
Canary ass.
Not like canary the bird, but like dogs. Because I think apparently back in the day.
Why you kiss my canary ass? My red canary ass.
Bright red canary ass.
They've always been a stopping over point, for ships, right? And so I think that a lot of dogs got loose on them.
And then they took over the island, and now they're serving drinks in bars.
Yeah, but it's honestly a place to go. I think maybe this sort of independent stuff, maybe it came after the Second World War, with these generations of the greatest generation kind of vibe, the people who fought in the war and were very strong about independence and freedom, and I don't know, it definitely feels like a thing of its time, right?
Yeah.
Because certainly Spain had a civil war during the war. I think the Canary Islands had been involved in some way as a retreat point for the government for a while, or what was left. Yeah, I can't remember. There was something going on, but you can imagine how this sort of stuff happens, certainly. And although it doesn't feel like the Canary Islands would have had a very long history in the same way that somewhere like Cornwall or Catalonia might have,
Yeah, I mean, when was it sort of populated? Because I don't think it didn't have any native population, I would guess, because I don't think they're history ancient. Before the arrival of humans, the Canaries were inhabited by prehistoric animals, including the giant lizard, Tenerife and Gran Canaria giant rats, and giant prehistoric tortoises. This is the land of the giants!
Nice.
Well, they were delicious though, so...
Although the original settlement of what are now called Canary Islands is not entirely clear, they think that indigenous peoples were living there at least 2,000 years ago, but possibly 1,000 years before that, and that they basically were related to the Berbers on the nearby North African coast. So the Berbers...
Interesting. It is interesting, just some of these places, it depends how far offshore you are, right, to get human settlement, right?
You gotta find it.
It was easier to colonize, America from Europe, by going all the way through Siberia and across the land bridge than it was to go out into the middle of the ocean and get onto this flipping island.
I mean, you got to know it's there. You don't just set off and hope you hit an island. I mean, jeez. But I guess if you're sailing from somewhere to somewhere else, you might go past and be like, fucking hell, that's inland, yeah? Let's make a note of that. Then you tell the Admiralty or whoever, and they send some lads back to explore it. Find a bunch of Berbers living there, and they're like, we can fucking have them. And then you come back with some lads in a boat and you nick it. That was the way. That was the way we did things. For hundreds of years.
Yeah. I'm surprised no Vikings made it down there, because they were going all through the Med. They've just gone a little bit further down the coast.
But I think generally if you're heading, let's say you're heading from Europe down to go around Africa.
They're following the coastline.
Yeah,
this is how most stuff.
Because like in Civ, they had boats that could only go in coast tiles, not the sea one.
Right, that's my education as well. That's true.
So did I mention the campaign for North Africa on our last podcast?
No. Vaguely remember this?
Did I mention the board game campaign for North Africa?
Oh yes, you did.
I did? Damn it! I want to talk about it.
You just want to talk about it all the time, don't you?
I downloaded the rules.
Oh my god, man.
You've had a lot of free time over the last 2 years.
Well, between games and when there's a pause or something.
Yeah,
just kind of
it's weird the kind of stuff you get into like when you're away from home too, right? You don't have all of your resources, so you sort of like you make do with what you've got, and sometimes that leads you down some very weird rabbit holes.
Is this the one which is said that a full game takes 1,500 hours?
1,500 hours, and it's 10 player. If you want to do it properly.
If you and your group plays for 3 hours a week, you'd wrap up the campaign in about 20 years.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's incredible. So, I thought we could do 24-hour stream.
Oh God, I thought you were going to say 24-year.
No, 24-hour stream of the game. You get 20 people, 10 per team, you do it in 2 shifts.
Okay. Alright.
3 shifts. Everybody does 8 hours. And it's 24/7 stream. You have to get prints out on the board to make it much bigger, big pieces. You'd have like sideline reporters covering the war, the whole thing. It would be, I don't know if people would ever watch it. I think that there's a potential that more people have walked on the moon than finished a game of campaign North Africa. I would be happy to see the numbers on it.
Do you know what though? I think the problem, these types of games that were developed in the 80s were very heavily supposed to, these war games, classic war games, end of the Cold War, like, or even middle of the Cold War, they were designed to kind of try and, as accurately as possible, simulate, things that happen or are going to happen, right? And so, there's a lot of admin, right? There's a lot of you spend a lot of time calculating yourself, right? But that's what led to the development of video game versions of it, like Hearts of Iron, right? Where so much of, imagine if you were playing Hearts of Iron, but you had to calculate everything yourself, all logistics for each unit, and how many were there, down to the man, like what their morale is, like it's just, there's some of these games like Battletech, for example, love for you to calculate so much, right? I always use that as an example. This is a very complicated board game, but when you translate it into a digital game, there's not enough. Right? When the developers, I spoke to the developers about the game, and they were very much like, we have to add in, 5 times as many mechanics and complexity in this game, because so much of the game is just calculating it and keeping admin, and I think that takes away from the game. Personally, I like there to be as little. Is that I think, okay, I'm going to get my guy and he's going to shoot your gun. And then by the time I've spent 10 minutes rolling dice, I've forgotten what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? I need a different frame of mind as well. I mean, when you're in a narrative mind and you're in like a D&D game, if you have to do a long bit of calculation, that puts you in some sort of mathematical mindset where you're out, and it breaks the immersion, it breaks the like, the sort of the happy, joyous, like you have to think, where was I? What was I thinking at the time? And go back to that place. When you're doing that all the time, from a game design point of view, I don't want to have, if I want to be an accountant simulator, I think that's what the campaign for Quartermaster Simulator. That's what some of these games are, right? Like they're like logistics simulators, and I love those games as well, like Factorio and stuff, where you're planning out a vast thing to take this thing to over here and this thing to over there. I think these games that we play and get joy from are the natural evolutions of games like this. But this I'm sure the campaign for North Africa involves reams of paper, where you have to like distribute. Oh yeah, look, here you go. Distribute stores and consume stores. Calculate spillage of water.
Yeah, it's insane.
Distribute water. Determine weather. Hot water means more. Hot weather means more evaporation of water.
Yeah.
Calculate attrition of units short of water. Transport cargo. Bring convoys ashore. Ship repair. Oh my god.
I mean,
Fire
honestly,
flag.
the rules book that I downloaded as a PDF is 200 pages long, and you basically have so much to do that you need a person dedicated entirely to logistics, and their entire job is managing the logistics. Then someone else's job is moving supplies from the rear to the front. Then someone's job is security and handling of prisoners for that interior area behind the front. Then you have a frontline commander who's in charge of the actual front, and then you have someone in charge of the Air Force. That's 5 people per team. And can you imagine if your job for 1,200 hours is managing supply levels and evaporation of water?
Some people would love.
I know.
I mean, not for 20 years.
Well, no.
Maybe. Well,
but there are a whole bunch of these. Most of them are World War II. I would say most of these monster board games seem to be World War II, and most of them seem to have been published in the 70s. And I think that's because once you got into the 80s and the 90s, especially now, there are more war games that are out there on computer, so you would just play it on computer. Which reminds me of, this was the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. When you were younger and the internet didn't exist, you wanted to play games with your mates, you'd have to go over to their house to play games. Literally go over to their house and sit side by side and play games. What did you think was the solution to being able to play games? Not having to figure things out, but remote. The best thing we came up with was one day we would run cables.
We never had. I never even really thought about it. But I remember when I was young, there was a lot of like couch gaming with, like NES, Super NES, the PlayStation, first PlayStation when it came out. You didn't really think about it much then. It was just that was the way it was. There wasn't an alternative. Nobody really thought up a way for there to be an alternative or whatever. But I also had a PC, and I had friends who had PCs as well, and we did a lot of direct connect modem stuff. But it was so janky because it was over a phone line. So like, you'd have a connection. We'd play Duke Nukem 3D. We'd play Doom 2, and Warcraft 2. Those were the games that we would play direct connect. But you'd be in the middle of playing, and you're like building some barracks, and then all of a sudden you'd be like, hello, who's on the phone? your mom would pick up the phone in the kitchen or whatever. Like it was annoying, right? Like it was cool, but it was annoying because it was. You put up with it because you were a kid, but like if I was an adult and that was happening, somebody picking up the phone and wrecking the connection or whatever, it would just be annoying, right? Like annoying to the point where you're like, oh god, I don't know if I can really be bothered with this. Like I'll just go get a console or whatever. I mean, it's a weird one, but like I don't remember anyone ever thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we could just do this in our own homes and play these games? Like I think part of the fun was that we were all together in somebody's basement, stinking it up, playing Mario Party or whatever. Like nobody really thought like that there was any alternative to that. It was just that was just how it was, kind of thing. I think that's how we thought about it anyway. But it was fun though.
Yeah.
You still doing that.
I just imagine this, like that one day games would be huge.
Yeah.
And that you would be. I had
maybe
some
you're like
idea.
a visionary, Maybe like you didn't realize it at the time, but you had these visions,
No, I just had an imagination and assumed it would never happen.
Yeah.
Like the idea of the internet, it felt to me like no grown-ups were interested enough in this idea so it wouldn't happen. Like that's how it felt. I was like, I could connect my house to your house with a cable and maybe we could play games that way.
Yeah.
But it'll never happen. I didn't have any notion that you could use that for things like running businesses or anything useful like that.
That's the thing. Yeah.
I just saw it as a way to play video games, and I thought no grown-up's going to want to do that, so it'll never happen.
Yeah.
And then when online gaming came around, I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe that it was possible. And now you can play games like Hearts of Iron, and instead of having to manually go figure out the water evaporation rates on the Spanish front, the computer does it for you.
Yeah.
It's magic.
Yeah, I mean, it's been around for so long though, online gaming. Like there used to be like Microsoft Live. I mean, we're talking like mid '90s. You know, Microsoft Live, Kali. Like there was a whole bunch of services that you could connect to play games, but you just had to have a good internet connection. Most people didn't because it was all dial-up. You know what I mean? Like I think some businesses had way better internet connections. You know, depending what the nature of their business was, but I think things really sort of transformed when cable internet came out. In North America, for us, it was cable, because all of a sudden it was faster, and then all of a sudden services started popping up everywhere. Like BattleNet existed, and before that there was just, I mean, Warcraft 2 shipped. There's no BattleNet at the time. Like there was the option to direct connect and play with somebody, or to connect to like a service like Microsoft Live or whatever, but there was no baked in matchmaking service or lobby or anything like that. It just didn't exist. But the technology for actually playing against people remotely was there. But it just depends on how much your phone bill you wanted to pay, I guess.
It's surprising how still there is a lot of that happening. A lot of the time, like whenever I want a game on, like a board game, I have to, I go on the TTS Discord. There's usually people, you can post a little thing saying looking for game or whatever. There's a lot of people still do that sort of lobby-based system. I mean, the original, God, we talked about this tons of times, but yeah, like it's a different world, but there's still some things that are basically the same. I want to know more about these forgotten disasters, P-Flags.
Oh, okay. Oh, I closed down the tab. Hold on.
Really?
I honestly didn't think you guys would want to hear about them. I found a few more.
I'm fascinated by that stuff.
All right, let me bring one up. So.
Yeah.
All right, the Victoria Hall disaster. This is terrible. This is 1883 in
Shall I regret this?
The distribution of toys caused a crowd crush, resulting in 183 kids getting crushed to death.
Oh, that's real bad.
Yeah, they were giving away these prizes. It was like a show. It's like a variety show for these two traveling entertainers. And the kids go there and they're told that there were toys, and when the kids heard this, that a certain number of kids with like, there were numbered tickets and they'd get prizes. A bunch of little kids were worried they wouldn't get their prize, so they all ran down there to try to get their tickets, and a bunch of them got crushed. Awful. Absolutely awful. You know, it's when you read about these forgotten disasters, that's one of the reasons why people that complain about things like safety regulations and fire regulations and occupancy restrictions, and they're like, why can't we just get on with it? Why do we have to be told what to do? It's health and safety, it's gone mad. It's because you don't know about the Victoria Hall disaster, and there was that club in Romania, I think, where there was a fire, and there was only one fire exit, and it was locked, and fucking hundreds of people were choked. All this shit that you've forgotten about, or haven't heard about, or never knew about, or will never have to experience anything like, were the precursor to some dumb rule. So 1,000 kids untethered at a place like this that didn't have the standards that you have nowadays, this is what you fucking get. And awful, awful, awful disasters. The sort of thing that we just don't really hear about as much in this country. So you've had that, you think, fuck me, we can't have this happening again. This is terrible. So you bring in laws and restrictions, and you get people who are experts in safety to try to make shit safe. Like, I know someone told me that if you're ever out driving, especially in the countryside, and you see, like, do you know those arrows? It's like arrows at the side of the road, like black and white arrows that point in the direction that a curve is going. They don't just put those down everywhere. Generally speaking, if there's been an accident of some kind, they're like, how did this happen? They look into it, and it turns out a certain time of day, certain speed, certain whatever, you can't really see the bend. So they put these things there to prevent a future accident. So one happens, people investigate, they realize there's a problem. Tom Scott did a video on this. There's a road, I think it was in Dorset somewhere, and the angle of these two roads approaching it to the intersection meant you had more accidents there than at any other intersection in the country. And if you were in a car, your blind spot, or the sort of the pillar of your front windshield,
meant you couldn't see like an oncoming cyclist or an oncoming car. And if you were both at a certain speed, it was just bad luck. The angle of this intersection meant that that was the case. So now we have all kinds of rules, and you wouldn't design an intersection like that. But this one was designed like that. So I find it interesting to read about these things, because you could then imagine why they brought in some safety restriction, why you have maximum occupancy, why you have barriers here, or things that seem awkward. It's because of shit like this.
Well, I wonder like how much of the world is designed for reasons that we don't. You know, like when you're on Google Earth and you see like something, you're like, what the hell is this? There must be a reason why stuff like. I know there's some problem with like east-west roads or something because like direct sunlight,
right?
Glare, right? And so you shouldn't be designing roads like that, but a lot of people just do it anyway. And I wonder how many lessons are. So if there's a book, give it to me. It's like that QI, stuff, right? That's what I want to hear. Right, go on. What's the next disaster?
Right, let's do one more. Here's one that's a bit more upbeat. The Johnstown flood. This is terrible. This was a dam. This was 1889.
It's really terrible.
Sometimes called the Great Flood of 1889. A dam failed at the South Fork of the Little Connemore River in Pennsylvania, and 14.5 million cubic meters of water came steaming down.
People.
No, there's 2,208 people were killed.
That's
and
a lot.
about $500 million in modern money of damage was done. The dam failed, and it basically all this water came steaming into town and just wiped it out. Absolutely wiped it out. It was just absolutely abysmal. It was the disaster was the largest loss of civilian life in the U.S. at that time. Up until the 1900 Galveston hurricane, and of course 9/11. But the Galveston hurricane, this was 8,000 people died in the Galveston hurricane.
Jesus.
This was in 1900, and it just smashed into Texas.
Is that Texas? Galveston,
Yeah, Texas.
Galveston hurricane.
Absolutely.
I only know about Galveston, Texas because of the Jinx. The guy he killed his neighbor. You remember?
What's his name?
Cut him up. Robert.
God.
The billionaire.
The billionaire heir. Yeah, he died, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Kind of recently, yeah. I think he died in
Part 2.
What is the part 2? I mean, that was honestly, it was such a fascinating story. It was amazing to me, the desperation in the documentary makers.
At the end when he's in the toilet, he's still got a hot mic. He's just been in the. Oh, they figured it out.
Yeah. Why did
I was so nervous.
Because you did it. Yeah, it was weird.
And the burping. Burping the whole time. Nervously burping through the whole interview.
So, the Galveston hurricane, the highest point in Galveston was only 2 meters above sea level. The hurricane brought a storm surge 4 meters deep that just washed over the entire island. And just fucking killed all these people. It's just terrible.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
God. So, no, but I mean, the Victorian era, like these hurricanes and floods, it was all a kind of, the idea was that it was like a golden era, a gilded age of no health and safety where anyone can do what they want and build anything they want. But of course, we're all humans, and everyone's going to do it for the cheapest they possibly can and the bare minimum effort. They're going to skimp out and they're going to use the fewest nails they can find, and they're going to be made of the wrong materials. Everyone was just shockingly, giving no shits. And it would be the same way today if people could get away with it. You do see this stuff even on TikTok, right? Of like snagging. It's like a new build house, and the whole thing is like completely fucked, right? Yeah, and it's just because the builders have like the walls hanging off and all the power sockets have like got water running behind them. Do you know what I mean? It's like a fucking nightmare. But
so
yeah,
the 1931 China floods, the Yangtze Huai River floods.
Okay, before you go on,
yeah.
the 1931 China floods. Now, this is something I've obviously.
This is something he holds dear to his heart. He knows all about.
But let's just imagine how many people died here.
Okay, have a guess. Let's play this game. How many died?
We've already done a flood in Galveston.
That was a hurricane.
That was a hurricane, and it killed 8,000 people. The flooding at the Yangtze River, I'm gonna say like 30,000 people.
You are so far. You are off by possibly a factor of 100.
Wow. Okay.
What?
4 million is the upper end of the estimation.
Jesus.
So about 300,000 people straight up drowned when this river flooded.
Oh man.
Like several million starved to death as a result of this one. It is absolutely appalling.
That's I did not realize that.
The top three are all China. This is like death tolls. 1887 Yellow River flood, 2 million people, and the 1976 Tangshan earthquake. Have a guess how many people died in the 1976 Tangshan earthquake?
I'm going to say like 10 million.
no, not quite that
I don't
many.
want to be wrong this time.
That's fair.
So they can be very dangerous.
Yeah, they can.
Between 250,000 people died in this earthquake. Absolutely unbelievable. Like just terrible. An 8.1.
Flip.
I mean,
that's a big one.
Is this because there's just a lot of people there?
I mean, yes, there are.
Are they very fertile? Are they very like? Is it because it's flood? I'm not saying this is the case, but is it because it floods that it is fertile and that it can support a lot of population? Do you know what I mean? Are these things linked?
Well, I mean, certainly I'd say population density. So, I mean, for example, looking at the deadliest natural disasters in the 20th century, the top 10 that I see here, until we get a country that I would not list as being like one of those densely populated countries, so China, India, China, Bangladesh, Japan, North Vietnam I don't think is as densely populated, but maybe it was. Oh, it's Hanoi, so yeah. But then we get to the 1908 Messina earthquake in Italy. 82,000 people died.
Jesus.
In this earthquake. I mean, remember back then, first of all, aid relief and rescue efforts would have been extremely basic compared to modern standards. Nowadays, there's an earthquake. People are there within the hour, like solving problems, helping people out, digging people out.
Well, they can even sort of, to some extent, predict, well, not predict earthquakes, but could get early warnings, right? At least that's something we're even considering.
Right.
Certainly that is something you can do with tsunamis, right, as well. Like I know the Asian tsunami that killed a lot of people in 2004, I would say. Unexpected, right? There wasn't a lot of early warnings for it, and as a result, a lot of people were caught off guard. But I guess like if a tsunami happens off the coast of Western Sahara, there's no one there. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not. But if it happens, outside a major tourist population centre with millions of people on the beach, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
And I think it might not. I don't want to say it's bad luck, because I mean, that this stuff happens all the time. There's always some natural disaster going on in the world, right? But a lot of it happens in areas that doesn't have an impact, or doesn't no one lives there.
Yeah. Like Tunguska. You know about Tunguska? An impact in Siberia, and here I'll read to you about it. Tunguska.
What's the one that killed the dinosaurs called?
That was, gosh, I could tell you if I had 5 minutes to think about it.
Chicxulub.
Yeah, the Chicxulub crater. That's like where the Gulf of Mexico is essentially a big crater. So
it's like off the coast of Ecuador, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like that's where they think.
That's where they think the big one landed.
Yeah, the big one.
Just absolutely fried the planet for millions of years.
Because they found like ejecta, which is like the shrapnel, if you like, from these big impacts, fucking miles away.
Oh yeah, well there would have been. I mean, it was fucking
just
huge.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. So the Tunguska event, which sounds like an SCP entry, but is actually real, was this 3 to 5 megaton explosion in 1908, and it was in very sparsely populated eastern Siberia. And they think it was a meteor airburst. That's what they think it was. The atmospheric explosion of a stony asteroid about 200 feet across, about 60 meters wide. And it came in, probably got unstable as it's coming through the atmosphere, and basically exploded about 5 to 10 kilometers up. So it didn't hit the Earth's surface, so it left no craters, just exploded.
Yeah.
Flattened this vast area
of forest, about 830 square miles, just completely flattened and devastated
Jesus.
by this explosion. But yeah, I mean, imagine that could have happened over London.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So things like that. Obviously, the Earth is very big. Most of it is water, so much of this shit is going to come crashing down in the water.
How does 3 megatons compare to like a nuke?
I think the one that was detonated over Hiroshima was that 1 megaton?
I think it was, yeah.
Let's have a look. History of
We've got
megatons.
the facts at our fingertips in this day and age. Just a quick search, you can answer any question you might have.
Maybe it was bigger.
It's 15 kilotons.
So a megaton is 1,000. No, a kiloton is 1,000. Megaton is a million. I don't know. Fucking hell, I'll look it up. I'm so stupid. So let me see. Megaton is shit. We're so bad at this. Grams of TNT. It's like it goes kiloton, megaton, gigaton.
Nice.
Okay, so the biggest one ever dropped was the Tsar bomber.
The Tsar bomber,
that was
yeah.
the famous
It's like
Soviet
60
one. That was
megatons,
super
isn't
big.
it, that one?
That was about 50 to 60 megatons.
Jesus.
And that was dropped in like the middle of absolutely fucking nowhere.
Yeah, they just tested it. And what about the little fat man and big boy?
Big boy, big boy and
the
little
two
boy.
boys they dropped. Big lad and strapping man.
Big bouncing boy.
Little boy was 15.
15 megatons.
15 kilotons.
Oh, so much smaller.
Much smaller.
So 0.015 megatons.
Wow.
Right.
So the Tunguska was 6 of those.
Holy.
Yes. No, 0.015. So 60 of those.
Good God.
So 60 of the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima. Yeah, it's a huge bomb.
Massive.
Well, huge. I mean, it would have absolutely devastated any population center, right?
Yeah.
Like, would have, and I guess it did. I mean, I guess it destroyed like a very large area, right?
Yeah, it was massive. I mean, it was a vast area.
80 million trees over 2,000 square kilometers.
Yeah, crazy.
Up to 3 people may have died.
Gosh. What a disaster. That's fucking unlucky. You're in the middle of Siberia thinking there's no way anything bad's going to happen here. I'm just going to stay warm. And then a fucking space throws a rock at you, the equivalent to 60 Hiroshima bombs. You're like, what are the fucking chances? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people think it was a gigantic meteoroid about the size of, well, not that big, 65 meters across.
Doesn't
like,
need to be that big. It's going that fast. It's atmosphere. I mean, think of it. You're traveling at ridiculous speeds out there in space. All of a sudden, you're in atmosphere. It's like that XKCD comic about what would happen if a pitcher threw a baseball at the speed of light. Did you see that one?
No.
That's quite a good one.
I think David Wells from the Toronto Blue Jays did that one time. During the World Series 1992.
Yeah, what a picture. But anyway, look it up. Basically, because the ball's traveling at the speed of light in atmosphere, it causes like this expanding shockwave of plasma and annihilates everything for miles around. It's a funny comic. It's worth reading. So you got something traveling at, I don't know how fast it'd be traveling, maybe 20,000 kilometers an hour or something stupid like that. Like very fucking fast. You hit the atmosphere. Something that big, it's like firing a bullet at the Earth, but the bullet is the size of the moon. You know, that's scary.
It's amazing thinking about this sort of physics stuff, like like it's energy and like there was some. I watched this video about railguns being tested, and they're so powerful.
Yeah.
They fuck up the actual gun. I think the gun can fire 8 times before it's fucked. Or something.
Like that's what's preventing them being viable. Is not that it doesn't do insane damage and is super accurate and amazing. The problem is it breaks the gun to shoot it. Like every gun that when you shoot an actual just a regular rifle or whatever, there's wear and tear on it because as the round travels through the barrel, it's eating away at the barrel and all the components, and it's all very gradually going to wear down. And even if you keep it clean, eventually the gun's just bits are going to break through wear and tear. The railgun is so powerful that you can't even fire it like a dozen times before it just breaks apart because it's so violent.
Really good in Helldivers. In general, chat, I
Just got
posted a
nerfed
couple of
I saw
pictures
these
of
pics.
David Wells.
Look at
for
David Wells, what a
reference.
fucking man.
I
Look
know.
at this
If
thing.
anyone's going to pitch one at the speed of light, this guy would have done
It's
it.
Wellsy.
The fucking power behind
this
that.
this
Look
guy's
at
got a hell of a gut on him.
Yeah.
Well, it's he's got a hell of an arm on him too. You wouldn't want to get in the way of that. It'd be like getting shot. The gun.
I mean, let me look up Big Sexy, which is my Bartolo Colon, my favorite baseball player ever. I'll copy a picture of Bartolo Colon. This lad was a big fucking lad. Let me see if I can place this here.
I can't just Google Big Sexy. I mean,
You can.
You can, absolutely.
Look at it.
Oh,
Look at this
yeah, look
lad.
at the size.
Oh, this lad's
He's a
great.
unit.
So he played for the Mets. He was a tremendous pitcher. And he hit a home run in a game. This is when pitchers used to actually bat. He hit a home run and everybody goes fucking nuts. People would come to the games with giant Bartolo Colon cutout heads and stuff like that. He was a legend. He was a legend. Just
I
he wasn't even. I think he was a
really like-
reliever, but everybody loved
Back
him.
in the day, I used to really like Jose Canseco, but I think he's been cancelled since.
Oh really? No, that's
I'm
a
pretty
shame.
sure he has been. Yeah.
Oh my god. I wonder if he's like Kyle Walker, another enemy of the podcast.
Performance enhancing drugs.
Another
Damn it,
enemy of the
Canseco.
fun. No, I don't think we have any specific beef with Jose Canseco. I just remember hearing recently that he was cancelled. But
he was arrested for beating his wife in 1997. But back in 1997, that was no big deal.
No,
Nowadays, fast forward to the 21st century, and
yeah,
you realise that maybe that
in
is
his
a
younger
big deal.
years, he almost looked like Hasselhoff-esque, didn't he?
He did have a house.
He did have a bit of a huff.
A little huff about him.
A huff about him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of huff.
And what about other baseball greats? Darryl Strawberry.
Darryl Strawberry,
Darryl
what a legend.
Strawberry.
Also played for the Mets.
Also played for the Mets. Pete Rose. You remember Pete Rose? I think he
Wasn't
did a lot of
insane?
cocaine. Yeah.
Pete Rose went nuts.
He went nuts. I used to have a Pete Rose hologram sticker in my Panini Major League Baseball sticker book when I was about 7 years old. I had Pete Rose. I had Darryl Strawberry up in there. Jose Canseco. I remember really liking baseball at the time when I was young.
Yeah.
Some good baseballers. That I used to really like the Toronto Blue Jays, and they had an all-star team for a couple of years. They won a couple of World Series back to back. They had a great team, and it was really
Who was
exciting. The Blue Jays, Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
They had like Kelly Gruber and Joe Carter and a bunch of other greats at the time, and it was great. I remember everybody loved it. Like I went out to visit my grandparents for the summer, and the World Series was on, and they were loving it. Man, it was crazy. We were having like hot dogs every night for dinner and stuff. Man, good times.
Yeah,
Baseball
I
hot
love
dogs.
baseball.
Yeah.
Love baseball.
Take me out to the ball game.
Well,
gotta get the weed.
do you want
Go on.
some news?
Yeah.
It's sports news.
Oh.
Famous and celebrated French footballer Hugo Lloris.
Yeah.
Lloris
Hugo Lloris.
left.
How's it? L-L-O-R-I-S.
It is.
Yes.
He was Spurs goalkeeper for fucking 10 years or whatever.
Cloris.
Hugo Lloris is how it's
I thought it was Welsh.
No.
Hugo.
Oh, that's
Oh
funny.
my god, man.
Hugo Lloris, yeah.
He's now playing for Los Angeles Football Club.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
He's probably winding down now.
I think that's Beckham's
I think
team.
it's where they go to wind down.
According to him, he said the reason he moved to LA was because he liked GTA and he wanted to
Are you
head out
fucking kidding me?
to California.
So he wants to
Yes.
do the driving around San Andreas IRL. I wonder if he's going to get the
He just
soundtrack
wants to listen to
from
some.
GTA.
He wants to listen to
and
some
stick it
late
up.
night hype while he's cruising around. Why not?
That's
I
amazing.
mean, totally understandable, really. The GTA 5 really does promote that.
It has an insane
West
soundtrack.
Coast.
Yeah.
I want
lifestyle.
to go to LA and start a gang, and perhaps me and CJ will get back at it again, huh? You know?
Okay, thank you, Hugo. In non-sports news, in pop culture news, Durex the condoms.
Yeah.
Never used them.
The owner of them
You
reckoned.
use Trojans, right?
No, I've never.
Mexico.
It's just never used anything because I've got fucking a million kids, so that was the preference.
You don't need to anymore when you flex.
No, Flax doesn't need to. Yeah, you're
I
right.
didn't say it. I haven't used a condom in fucking 30 years, probably, whatever. I can't remember when the last time I
Well,
used one.
that's a pretty good.
You
we
remember
should
that
celebrate
episode of
that.
Curb when he puts the condom with like the numbing stuff on the wrong way, and Cheryl's vagina goes like all numb for Oh man.
I don't think I've used one this century of Johnny. I'll be honest. I used one back in the day when we were, still young. But then Mrs. F was on the pill. Like a lot of women in long-term relationships, it's just much easier.
So apparently it's quite difficult. It's using live streaming to sell
Live streaming a
condoms.
Johnny?
I'm not quite sure what this news article is.
That doesn't make any fucking sense, mate. What are you talking about?
Live streaming a Johnny.
Live streaming a bloody Johnny, mate. What are you talking about?
I don't know what this article is. That
Alright,
I'm not
skip.
reading all
Next.
that.
Talk gun.
Destiny and Halo composer, someone O'Donnell, Marty O'Donnell, is running for a Republican House seat,
Right.
a congressional seat.
Right,
Video game composer, Destiny and Halo composer Marty O'Donnell. If you like video games, you like Republican. If you hate abortion, you should check him out.
Vote Marty O'Donnell.
Gosh,
Marty O'Donnell.
it's
He
crazy.
has described himself as a boomer and a federalist. He found himself yelling at the news. If you find yourself yelling at the
I
news,
feel like if you find yourself yelling at the news, you are not an ideal candidate for politics. I don't think anybody wants you to be
maybe book yourself
in
a little trip
politics.
to the Canary Islands.
Maybe go and find something to do where you can get a grip on your life, where you're not yelling at a television like a psycho. And please do not enter the political arena because there's already enough psychotic people there, and we just don't need any more. What we need now, I think, is just some sensible people in politics. So if you find yourself screaming at your TV, go find something else to do. Do us all a favor.
Amen.
Preach.
Hey, I got
there we go.
not news, but I've got a bit of old news. I just saw this post on Reddit the other day. This morning. Do you wanna hear this?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
The London Calcutta bus service?
Is this a disaster that's been forgotten?
Not a disaster.
Is this a Wes Anderson movie?
This is not a Wes Anderson movie either.
No.
This was a bus service that ran from London to Calcutta, which is now called Kolkata.
Right.
It was the longest bus route in the world. Started in 1957. It went to India via Belgium, and not just Belgium. It says here via Belgium, Yugoslavia, and northwestern India, but passed through a fair few countries other than those three.
Right.
It's the hippie trail,
The
right?
hippie route, yeah. It took 50 days to get to Calcutta from London. Voyage was over 10,000 miles one way, 20,300 miles round trip, and it cost 85 quid in 1957, which included food, travel, and accommodation. The facilities on the bus, it had reading facilities, separate sleeping bunks for all passengers, fan-operated heaters, and a kitchen. Forward observation lounge on the upper deck. It was more like a tour. You didn't just get on the bus and fucking settle down. It was like a proper trip. There was a radio and music system.
There's
for
some
parties
teenagers
on
in the back.
Yeah. And you could, it stopped for shopping, and it would spend time at tourist destinations. It sounds fucking amazing.
It's like a cruise, but in a bus.
Yeah.
There's a show on Channel 4 about going on a bus trip. Maybe it's a bit like that. You know, what is it called?
What's it called?
It's not 4 on a bus. I think it's 4 in a bed. That's the bed and breakfast.
Is it called Coach Trip?
Coach Trip, I think, is the
Coach
one.
Trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a show that Mrs. F watches, which is like a competition. People have to get from A to B as fast as possible, but they can't use planes. Have you seen this? They're given a certain amount of money. It's like they go in pairs. They just have to go, right, you've got to go from London to LA. But the long way round, you've got 30 days to do this.
Oh yeah, around the world.
Yeah.
And
there's loads of those.
There's one on the BBC that's quite good, actually.
That's the one Mrs. F likes.
It's really good.
Is it
I've
called
watched all the series of it.
Quest or something?
No,
or
it's called The
something
Amazing Race.
Amazing Race.
There was one. They did one recently where it was through Canada, But again, like through all the remote bits and stuff, you know, like they were ending up in places where, you know, a train would only run out of there on a Thursday at like 6 in the morning, and that was it. And if you missed that, you were stuck there, and you would probably lose the race and stuff. They have a budget, and then so they have to like they can take any means to get to where they need to go, but they have to visit these places because they have to sort of check in. They're like checkpoints, right? So you know, you can't just go from like Vancouver straight to Calgary because it's too easy. You have to go from like Vancouver up to you know, fucking Fort Wayne, which is like in the middle of goddamn nowhere, you know, some shit like that. That's where the checkpoint is. So you have to check into all these checkpoints, and ideally you get there first.
You have to like circumnavigate the globe.
And if you however much time you get to the checkpoint before everyone else is how much time you have as a head start for the next one. So it's a place. So you get to the checkpoint, and then it's a nice hotel. They get to wash, rest, whatever. Because when they're traveling for days or weeks at a time to get to the checkpoints, they're on such a small budget. They're just like eating bread on a bus and sleeping on a bus and sleeping in hostels and kind of depending on people's goodwill. You know, like they can stop sometimes. They'll stop at like a egg farm and they'll be like, okay, well, clean out the chickens all day and we'll cook you a meal and you can sleep here. And they're always like, okay, yeah, great, because they can save money doing that or whatever. But it's really good. It's really well done, and the people that they get are interesting
how many
as well.
seasons of The Amazing Race US there have been?
20.
More. 36.
36?
36. Okay, I've never watched the American one, but the UK one is pretty good. I like it.
Huh. Oh, wait, just a last thing that I can think of this week, and then, I mean, this has been an hour and 15. Let's see if, let's all have our last point.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. I better go shopping.
All right.
So, the Cerveza Cristal memes, have you seen these?
No.
So,
Cerveza Cristal.
Yeah, so in 2003, they aired the original Star Wars movie in Chile. They didn't want to have ad breaks, so they had product placement in the film. They edited product placement in the film. So if you look these up, if anyone listening to this, if you haven't heard it, Cerveza Cristal, look it up. Obi-Wan, in the scene where he goes, your father was the greatest star pilot in the galaxy. And he reaches into a box to get his lightsaber, and then they cut to a guy's hand with a rope kind of like Obi-Wan's, reaching into an ice box to grab a beer, and it plays music, Cerveza Cristal! And the logo comes middle of the screen, and then it cuts back to the movie like it's carrying on like normal.
Stupid.
It is amazing.
So
look it up. They won an award. This won an award for most innovative advertising campaign.
Oh, God.
Fuck off.
That's good.
It's amazing.
That's good. I'm currently monitoring the Epic Games public status for the Fortnite services to come online because I'm under strict instructions from my son. There's a new season of Fortnite starting today, and he said, Dad, I've saved up all my V-Bucks for the Battle Pass, and can you please update the game so that when I get home from school, I don't have to sit there for an hour updating the game. So
because all his mates are going to want to fucking play
that's
it right
it.
away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna get it all ready for him. God bless him. He's gaming, man. He's
a gamer.
loving it. Yeah.
Lad's a gamer. Let's fucking
he's
go.
loving it. Yeah.
Get him into Dopes. We need some good young British players
Oh
coming
my
through.
God.
Actually, don't do
No,
that.
I
You
will
ruin his
not.
life.
Yeah.
Lulu, you're lost. Last from Lulu.
Sorry, I'm eating a
Yeah, there we
bar.
go. He's eating an oat bar.
So
Alright.
live, laugh, love.
See you next time,
That
everyone.
concludes our podcast. God bless. Goodbye.
We love you.
Yeah.
We love you. Bye.
See you
Goodbye.
soon. Bye.
Pickaxe.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Pet injuries and additional coverage is subject to policy terms.
At Sierra, I discovered top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to said was, I think it hits us first, right? So I'm
West
sending it
Coast,
over.
yeah, West Coast
You
gets
know, that's a little
wetter.
special delivery from me to you.
I call it the Wet Coast. Very clever little geography joke there for you.
Enjoy it. So what have you been up to? What have you been up to this week, lads? Anything interesting?
Recovery from having to actually work for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, gosh, yeah, you're back. You must be
Watching,
pleased.
yeah, also I've been watching some movies. I've been chilling out and
Nice.
catching up on some TV and just I did a couple of odds and sods around the house. Just took my eldest to the dentist. She's finally going to get her braces out in the next couple of months.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
So yeah, and then just in time, I'm going to take the youngest to get hers fitted. So I know this dentist very well. Like,
well, they can swap the same ones in.
yeah,
Right?
can't you just reuse them? Just
Yeah.
wash it over.
Hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
I think that's like that. It does happen, I'm sure, but it's pushing it right these days. It has to be pretty good to be a hand-me-down with teenagers, right? They have no charity cases.
No.
They want new stuff.
They're a new generation of youngins.
They want the hot new
They
thing.
got
Yeah.
expectations, they got standards.
They got standards.
Oh yeah.
I had a bit of drama yesterday in my road.
Okay, this
In
is
your
what we're
road.
here.
In my
This is-
road.
This
Yeah.
is what we're here.
This is what we're here for. I just remembered it. So, me and Mrs. F, we're having an online meeting with someone upstairs, and I hear this yelling out in my road. And I think, oh, maybe it's just there's some builders working down the road or something. And it keeps going, and I hear it sort of escalating, getting quite heated. So I have a peek outside. There's a bunch of my neighbours having an argument with traffic enforcement at the park, right? And there's 2 traffic wardens, and there's like 6 of my neighbours, and they're having a
Oh my
big
God.
stand-up argument in the road.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I'm like, I mean, it looks like it's going to come to blows. So quickly pop some trousers on and my shoes, because I was in my PJs, go downstairs and I play Peacekeeper. I go and sort it out, and I don't want to see people get clobbered, so I want to find out what the situation is. And we have, like most of Twickenham has parking permits, because we get rugby traffic and animals, they'll park anywhere. And people will drive up here from outside London, park up anywhere they can find in Twickenham, and they get the train into London because that's cheap. They get the train all the way up. That's a thing that people did. So for a while there was nowhere to park on the roads around here. So either park permits were required. There is a situation where some of the people around here have garages. And those garages, people will park their own car in front of their own garage, which they're using for storage. And they'd assumed that this was sort of their land, if you like. No one else can park in front of the garage because you can't park in front of the garage.
Right.
So they were like, well, it's basically mine. I'll park there. So they were parking in front of their garages, and traffic wardens would occasionally give them tickets if they wandered around here. And eventually, some of my neighbours had a conversation with the traffic wardens, and the guys were like, "Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you can park there, no problem." Yesterday, traffic enforcement lad's out. He's got his uniform on. He's got the other guy. They're sort of backing away from this crowd of people yelling, and I go out and I'm like, well, what's the problem? What's the problem? And they're like, he's given tickets to some of us and not others. I didn't get one because we had a permit. And they have this big fucking argument. They end up swearing each other. The traffic warden swearing at them. They're swearing at the traffic warden. And one of my neighbours is getting right up in the face of the traffic warden. I thought, Christ, they're about to have a fight. And I'm like, trying to calm it down. Eventually, the boss of the traffic wardens comes up, explains the situation, and I was like, all right, look, I will talk to the council. We'll get a resolution on this. Don't worry about it. And they're like tearing the tickets off and throwing them at the traffic warden. It was a big fucking to-do. So I'm in the middle of the process of talking to the council and figuring out what the hell are we meant to do, because it's unclear communication. Like, I think people just want consistency. And these tickets are like 110 quid, so it's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that. But it was. I think if I hadn't gone out, it genuinely could have come to blows. It was a sketchy old situation.
Are you is the later years of your life, are you looking to get into like local politics or whatever? Because it seems to come up time and time again with you. Like you seem to have an interest in your local
You need to
community.
be about 20 years old.
You like to
do
get
that,
in and mediate. You've spoken to your local MP and stuff. Like all these, you've done more for your community than I've ever done for mine, or will ever do for mine. I
Well,
should say as well. If I see somebody outside in the road fighting, I watch safely from my window, and I get the popcorn out as well. I mean,
Well, dare I say it, but that's what's wrong with modern Britain.
Wow.
Young Chris.
I mean, it's we're conditioned. It's a conditioning thing, right? You're going off the grid with it. You've been conditioned as well, but you're just refusing it. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I just figured these systems are there. And people don't use them. Like, the whole point is the system of complaining to the council, the system of going to see your MP, that exists. And if you don't use it, what's the point in it?
Do you ever think, though, like, like if you see somebody outside in an altercation, they're just about to get into a fight, how shit would it be, okay, bear with me here, how shit would it be if you went out with all the best intentions in the world to mediate, and you got stabbed and died? That would fucking suck. So bad. It's so avoidable, and I'm sure it happens too.
Oh,
you know, in America, 100%. You probably go, hey guys, what's going on? Bang! You just get your head blown off.
Right.
You know, you had nothing to do with you. You know, like, you could have just stayed inside, and I think that's why people do stay inside. You know, they probably think, oh fuck, I'm not going out there.
Right.
What if this guy stabs me or shoots me or something?
That's not a likely result of this dispute. If it was a bunch of kids with the masks over their face,
say that to the last guy that got stabbed or shot trying to mediate. You know what I mean?
I don't think
it's not likely.
Well,
still, it does happen. I mean, I think it's still worth sort of considering, at least, you know.
So I suppose another way of looking at it is that I don't think it's likely that my neighbours in Twickenham are going to start stabbing traffic wardens. I really don't think that.
No, but some of these altercations get really heated, and people lose their minds, especially around traffic and cars. Holy crap!
Oh,
people
100%
lose their minds. Like they.
Oh my God!
I'm
not so
right, but I'm not stepping into an ongoing fight.
There's whole TV shows based around, you know, neighbors from hell because of parking situations and stuff. Like, this is not an uncommon thing. This is.
I agree.
It's like a plague on society. People.
Well, this is because people have got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Like Period said, they're old, or they're like bored, or they've got this tiny box factory job life, and they care about fuck all but Ruby, the neighbour who parks at 2 inches into my allocated spot, which is not allocated in front of my driveway, because even though, it's all we all understand. We've spoken to one traffic warden one time and told him, you know. But I guess the whole problem is with this is that the traffic wardens, shouldn't be getting into this kind of nonsense anyway. They should just put the ticket in and run off. Do you know what I mean? As soon as someone's up in their face, they should be walking away. Like, they should not be escalating this or trying to talk them down. You shouldn't even be able to negotiate with traffic wardens, right?
Yeah.
And there's no allocated space in front of your driveway. You are still parking on the road. You know you rolled the dice, right? Even though you're like in the right in your head. And if you want to rip a ticket off your car and throw it on the floor, go for it, right? But they'll still send you the fucking ticket, right? Like, there's no one's in the right here for a start with all these middle-class Twickenham livers with their second car parked out in front of their house, but still on the road. I mean, it's
I can see you've got all the facts at your disposal.
A lot of this to me is alien, because I grew up in a middle-class suburb in North America where none of this was ever an issue.
You need a lot of space up there.
Parking was not a problem. You generally had a driveway that could fit at least 2 cars comfortably, not even just like wedged in so that it was annoying or whatever.
If it wasn't that, it would be the fence, it would be the tree, it would be some bush.
Yeah, I mean, you do get
other thing,
there's
right?
elements of that, but it's not that bad, and a lot of it is already controlled by law, who will just drive around and check on all this stuff anyway before people even get a chance to complain about it. They're trying to put a swimming pool in their front yard. It would never happen. Like, there's people like going by and checking this stuff all the time and issuing you with fines and whatever for breaking these bylaws. I don't remember ever there being drama around any of this stuff. I'm sure it happens. In America, they got like housing associations and stuff, and I think that it happens maybe more there or whatever. But certainly, like in the neighborhood I grew up in Canada, there's never any issues. You had your one allocated tree that was like 2 meters away from the sidewalk, and like when they built the suburb, everything was built to those codes and stuff, and most people just didn't really do anything to break that, you know. I think a couple of times people got told off for having like an RV parked in their driveway or whatever, which is like a big no-no. That's it, you know.
No one likes being slapped with a fine from a traffic warden, especially for something that they think is they're not doing anything wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's like a massive injustice, and you can see why they're really mad about it. But actually yelling at a guy who's basically, you know, paid to walk around and find these. I mean, he's paid by the fine often. These traffic wardens, right? They make their money by actually putting tickets on. They get paid per ticket. Do you know what I mean? Often. So that kind of encourages them to be proactive. And if they see a little cheap,
that sounds like such a stressful job. Imagine you're just like walking the beat and you're like, fuck, how am I gonna put food on the table tonight? There's nobody's breaking the law. There's no tickets. Tickets to a shoe. I gotta invent some tickets.
Yeah, so I mean, you can see like everyone's shit. There's not an asshole here, but I do think that getting in someone's face and yelling at them is a real something not to do.
I agree.
You would do that in a restaurant, right?
No,
like,
I've seen that.
Yell at a server.